Chapter 81. However, the snake demigod was severely injured but did not do so, which only means that the demigod had no divine power in stock at this time. Obviously, losing all believers has no source of belief value, and the divine power accumulated before is used to heal wounds and suppress poison. At this time, the snake demigods are exhausted. A demigod without divine power or the power of faith is equivalent to no bullets in the gun, no blue for a mage, and a sharp decrease in combat effectiveness. Even Lin Xiao now relies on the nearly 30 million faith points he harvested before to be so powerful. If he doesn't have so many faith points, how dare he dare to make a demigod idea? Kill. At this time, when the cannon fodder came in handy, the murlocs scattered around the sanctuary flocked to the shrine from all directions. Even a demigod who is seriously injured and exhausted is not something that ordinary murlocs can do. It is estimated that they will not be able to touch it, but the shrine is different. This thing is the core and cornerstone of the sanctuary. Once this thing is destroyed, the sanctuary will collapse. The collapse of the sanctuary means that the demigods of the snakes have lost all their wealth that has spent thousands of years. Without all of this, the demigods of the snakes can be 100% certain to fall from demigods to ordinary divine beings. This is definitely not something he can do. Accepted result. So, before the first wave of murlocs rushed to the shrine, the snake demigod was angry but had no choice but to return to the shrine. At this time, he no longer had the high spirits he had just now. After his breath plummeted, he did not recover. When he returned to the shrine, there was no other change. He even shrunk a lot in size. Fish man. At this point, the most critical stage has passed, and the next step is consumption. Continue to consume the power of the snake demigod with a steady stream of cannon fodder until the limit is reached. Waves of murlocs rushed over, and waves of murlocs were all killed. 2 hours later, the remaining murlocs had been killed by 50% and could no longer hold on. Lin Xiao asked the remaining less than 20,000 murlocs in the sanctuary to retreat, and waved to let the main force composed of Ka, the lava lizardmen and the harpy started, and the three of them followed closely. No matter how many murloc cannon fodders die, it doesn't matter how many these elite family members die. At this time, the three of them were all in a good mood. Yan Renji looked at the scarred snake man demigod with some greed, and quietly lowered his voice and said in Lin Xiao's ear, "Lin Xiao, can you sell me a piece of demigod flesh later?" On the other side, Wang Ying's beautiful big eyes glanced over and listened attentively. He knew what Yan Renji wanted to do, and he wanted to cultivate a hero with the flesh and blood of a demigod. "How much do you want?" When Yan Renji heard the drama, he quickly replied, "Not much. Just one arm." "What do you get in exchange?" "I got a total of 1 epic quality 5-star card, 3 rare quality 5-star cards, and 6 random quality 5-star cards in this final exam." "How about all of them?" "Well," Lin Xiao pondered for a while, then nodded. Strictly speaking, Yan Renji took a little advantage of this exchange, but they made great efforts this time, so there is no need to worry about it. Speaking of which, the remaining strength of the snake man demigod was indeed beyond his expectations. Judging from the battle just now, without the two of them, the possibility that Guang Linxiao wanted to kill the snake man demigod himself is really low, even if the success rate of using procrastination tactics is not very high. All in all, 2 points of divinity are worth it, no loss. The two of them had just finished talking when a clear, light cough came from their ears. He turned back to see Wang Ying, whose pretty face was slightly red. She coughed lightly with her small, white fist against her chin, and said a little embarrassedly, "Student Lin Xiao, yes, it's also an arm. How is the condition like Yan Renji?" Her beautiful big eyes blinked, and a trace of joy appeared at a speed visible to the naked eye, and nodded again and again. Then it's settled. In a few words, they decided to divide up a demigod, as if the snake man demigod was already theirs. But the fact is that, unless a miracle occurs, there is absolutely no possibility of the serpent demigod who has fallen into the extreme. At this time, he can't still burn his divinity as hard as he did before. If he dares to burn his divinity in his current state, he will fall immediately. His current state is not enough to support him to erupt again. When the main family of the three of them joined the battlefield, Hundreds of 4th-level Naga shark hunting warriors stood in front, the harpies hung above, and 800 or 900 lava lizardmen after the Naga drew bows and arrows at the shrine. A shower of arrows shot out in the direction. They don't need to attack, they just project from a distance, more than 700 or 800 meters, and project it to the shrine. If the snake demigod still wants to live, he has to block the arrows shot at the shrine with his body. Of course, the hard block is also worn to death, and both sides are dead. The overall situation is set. It's amazing how they made it work. Congratulations. Happy together. Outside the sanctuary, the 3 head teachers were hidden at the edge of the sanctuary. The head teacher of Class 1 and 2 bowed to Wu Hai with a complicated expression to congratulate him. The bright smile on his face could not be stopped. This move is not only a great benefit for his students, but also for himself. Not to mention all kinds of bonuses and benefits, just relying on the school's performance that has not been shown several times in the thousands of years of history, he can directly promote his professional title and get the opportunity to continue to teach the second year of high school. You must know that normally, with his professional title and qualifications, he can only teach high school students. After the student is promoted to the second year, he will go back to teach the new Senior 1 class. Now that his professional title and qualifications have been improved, he can become a senior high school student, grade teacher. It seems to be only one level higher, but in fact it represents the improvement of status and status, which means that he will be one level higher than the head teacher of the first and second classes in terms of status, and the treatment and benefits will be better. Thinking that all of this was brought by his students, Wu Hai's eyes on Lin Xiao became more and more fond of him. He was a little pity he didn't have a daughter, otherwise he could try. Huh, what is that? The sudden surprise from the head teacher of the second class, Zheng Yifan, interrupted his reverie. Above the central shrine of the sanctuary, half of his head had been shattered and he could hardly see the divine light, and the demigod of the snake man, whose breath had declined to the extreme, turned around and smashed the shrine by himself, revealing a shrine that exuded a mysterious aura. Letting the rain of arrows pour down the sky, he turned and walked towards the throne that represented the authority of the sanctuary. Call out! Wan Ying hit the back of the snake demigod with an arrow, his huge body swayed violently, and the snake's waist almost fell, but she didn't even look back. There was a hideous and miserable grin that made them a little creepy. He is this. Lin Xiao frowned, and his mind quickly turned to recall the information about the sanctuary recorded in the encyclopedia. There was no desperate means such as self-destruction of the sanctuary. In fact, not only the sanctuary, but also the kingdom of God, even the gods, etc., do not have the so-called self-destruction. Of course, it does not include some special species, or special priesthoods, such as the priesthood of explosion. In addition, neither the kingdom of God nor the gods can self-destruct and die together. At most, all the gods can be released to cause a huge impact on the enemy, but this is not self-destruction. It's not that the novel blows itself up at every turn. Chapter 82 Relics, The Broken Destiny Judgment Libra. Now that he can't blow himself up, what does his expression mean? Is there any way to press the bottom of the box to turn it over? Lin Xiao was puzzled when he saw the snake man demigod Glass sitting on the throne and extending his right hand. In an instant, the entire sanctuary suddenly lit up. A tattered Libra phantom. As Glass stretched out his hand and grabbed it, the huge Libra phantom quickly shrank into his hand, condensing into a small scale with dark gold texture and cracks all over it. Glass looked at the little scale in his hand with 3 points of excitement, 3 points of anticipation, 3 points of fear, and a trace of inexplicable eyes, and said in a trembling voice. You think you won. Delusional. Glass let you know how ridiculous all your efforts are in the face of fate. Crazy. Lin Xiao, Yan Renji, and Wan Ying looked at each other, and they could see the doubts in each other's eyes. The three approached carefully and were about to ask each other when they suddenly heard a hurried warning from the head teacher. Dangerous, leave immediately. Yan Renji and Wan Ying also heard the warning from their head teacher. Although the three of them didn't know what was going on, they did not hesitate to follow the teacher's advice and quickly turned around and ran away. Procrastinate. Outside the sanctuary, the three head teachers looked at the snake man demigod Grass in the center of the sanctuary with shocked expressions, to be precise, the dark gold scale in his hand, full of surprise. There is a treasure in this plane, where did it come from? The other two head teachers shook their heads in unison, and Chao Liang, the head teacher of the first class, looked at his students with some worry, and said in a low voice. Libra-like relics are generally related to trials or verdicts, and I don't know which ones they are. Hope as judgment. On the throne of God, Glass looked at the three golden figures fleeing quickly with mocking eyes, with a sneer at the corners of his mouth, looking down at the dark golden scale in his hand, hesitation and fear in his eyes intertwined back and forth, and finally turned into a touch of anticipation and a deep expression of hope. Hope took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "The judge of the fate of all things in the world, I appoint in the name of the ruler." He raised his eyelids to look at the three fleeing, slowly suppressed the hesitation and fear in his eyes and turned them into firmness, shouting loudly, "Judge the target's destiny." He hesitated for a moment, then slowly spit out two words. Destiny. As soon as the words fell, the dark gold scale that was full of cracks added several cracks again, and at the same time, a mysterious wave of law gushed out and disappeared from the judgment scale, and Lin Xiao, who had escaped several miles in the next second, felt it. An unimaginable force descended, directly freezing himself in the void and unable to move. At the same time, he saw a huge Libra phantom appearing out of thin air in front of him. He was standing on one end of the Libra phantom, and the other end was a mass unable to see the phantom whose shape is constantly distorted and deformed. At this moment, Lin Xiao felt a great terror enveloped him. But he was surprisingly calm, and in it, a piece of information appeared in his mind to let him know his current state. He is now in the midst of a high-level legacy, the incomplete Fate Trial Libra, and he is being judged by the Fate Trial Libra on his own destiny. It's not just him, everything in the entire sanctuary, whether it is their three divine creatures, and their relatives, every Naga, lava lizardmen, harpies, even every Murloc must accept its judgment of fate. And because this high-level legacy has been damaged, even the current owner of the legacy, the Snake Man Demigod Glass, is also subject to the fate trial of the Fate Trial Libra. Everyone understands the meaning of judgment, and the meaning of fate is also easy to understand, but it is difficult to understand the two together. Judgment by fate, judgment of fate. Lin Xiao didn't know either, but he knew very well that he was in an extremely dangerous situation at this time. Even the broken Fate Trial Libra is a high-level relic, and its power even a weak true god cannot resist. Not to mention he is a divine creature who is not even a demigod, so at this time he has no other choice but to accept fate trial. The small trial scale seems harmless, and it seems that it can step out in one step. In fact, it can be done, but if the consequence of doing so is to resist the trial, the consequences are quite serious. Lin Xiao obediently stood on one side of Libra's plate, breathing steadily, and looked at the incomprehensible distorted shadow on the other side of Libra's plate. He also doesn't know the principles and rules of this trial. Destiny is so mysterious that even a true god with powerful divine power cannot understand it. A small shrimp like him can only passively wait for the result. Yan Renji and Wan Ying, who were not far away, were standing on the side of a Libra phantom like him at this time, and like him, they were also being judged by the Libra of Destiny. In the center of the distant shrine, the Snake Man Demigod Glass, who is the owner of the Libra of Destiny, is also being judged by the Libra of Destiny. Normally, the owner of the treasure does not need to be judged, but to judge others. Unfortunately, the scale of the fate judgment is too damaged. Not only the owner does not have this preferential treatment, but also the same judgment. The results of the trial of fate are fast and slow. The weaker the strength, the faster the trial. Lin Xiao quickly saw the results of the fate trial of a large number of Murlocs in the swamp below. One end of a Murloc plate in a small scale suddenly dropped slowly, and the Murloc on the plate showed a horrified expression. As one end of the plate of the Murloc dropped to the bottom, the Murloc, bang, exploded into a mass of flesh and blood. Another end of the Murloc in the scale did not descend, but rose slowly. When the plate rose to the top, a dazzling golden light poured out and wrapped the Murloc. After a while, the golden light disappeared, revealing a fish that was far stronger than its companions. Man, this Murloc has broken through the limits of the species by the second-level Murloc warrior and has been promoted to the third-level Murloc leader. The fate of the Murlocs continues to be judged. The scales are high and low. Those who descend are either dead without a body, or lacking arms and legs. Basically, those who rise up get extra benefits, not necessarily all of them. It can directly increase a rank, but more or less will gain certain benefits. After more and more murlocs were judged by fate, the harpies of Wan Ying began to change. One by one, the phantom of Libra descended or. Lin Xiao frowned. He found that the scales of the harpies all seemed to be falling. He looked up at Wan Ying. Her delicate and pretty face was full of tension and fear. This is not a good sign. However, he soon had no time to observe others, because his Naga family and Yan Renji's lava lizardmen began to be affected, and the scales continued to rise or fall, which made him relieved. At least it's not completely wiped out. Chapter 83: The Terrifying Trial of Fate and the Fall of Wanying. As all the family members were affected and accepted the trial one by one, the three of them became more and more nervous, and they had a hunch that it would soon be their turn to accept the trial of fate. Outside the sanctuary, all 10 head teachers and Vice Principal Shu have arrived, but none of them dare to enter the sanctuary, even Vice Principal Shu. He is only a weak divine power of Godhead level 3, and he cannot be exempted from the influence of a high-level relic. If he enters the sanctuary, he will also be judged by the scale of fate. Seeing that the murlocs or Naga gain advantages or disadvantages due to the judgment of fate, he is also anxious. It doesn't matter if the family members of the 3 students are dead, the main reason is that it is very troublesome if the 3 students have an accident. Although there is a death indicator for entering Outland in the final exam, the death of an ordinary student and the death of an elite student are 2 different things. But at this time he couldn't do anything. It would be too late to inform the principal or the old principal, so he could only pray for their luck. What should come will come eventually. After Wan Ying's heroic Harpy Queen also began to accept the trial of fate, and directly degenerated into an eagle-headed harpy, the fate of the trial finally came to the 3 of them. Lin Xiao finally gave Wan Ying a helpless look, and withdrew her gaze towards the Harpy King. In a round of fate trial, all her family members were wiped out, and none of them had a good end. This is a very bad omen. Wan Ying's beautiful face is pale, and she can feel that it is not good, but she has no choice but to accept the judgment of fate. As the mysterious and illusory light group on the other end of the scales poured out incomprehensible mysterious fluctuations, Lin Xiao felt the scales tremble slightly, his heart throbbed, and he saw that the scales he was in began to slowly descend. His face suddenly turned pale. I rely on it, no way. Lin Xiao was scared to pee on the spot. How could he drop? But the truth is, it's going down slowly, but it's going down. How to do? He was in a hurry and thought about it, but the level of fate's trial of Libra was too high, completely beyond his understanding and contact, and he didn't know what to do. It was as if a high-level math question that only universities could teach suddenly appeared in the final exam from primary school to junior high school. Fuck. Seeing the slow and firm descent of the scales, a terrifying darkness of calamity was slowly approaching. Lin Xiao couldn't sit still, and some urgently ill doctors folded their hands and bowed to the quartet, chanting words in their mouths. 3 pure Tathagatas, Buddha, Jade Emperor, God, Allah, Jesus, gods and immortals from 4 directions, 5 elders and 5 elders, Alatosk Sulu is here. The voice suddenly stopped abruptly, and consciousness quickly sank into the sea of Aaa Divine to see that the magic cube of good fortune was hanging in the center of the sea of Aaa Divine, spinning back and forth, and circles of inexplicable fluctuations slowly spread around the magic cube of good fortune. Lin Xiao's eyes suddenly lit up, and he passed on his thoughts like he was grabbing a life-saving straw. The Rubik's Cube, which turned irregularly, paused slightly, made a crisp, kaka sound, and quickly turned in the opposite direction, and an inexplicable message emerged. Need more energy to resist the power of destiny, Libra. Lin Xiao understood, without saying a word, took out a few cards and stuffed them into the Rubik's Cube of creation. As the Rubik's Cube slowly turned, it was obliterated and the energy of creation slowly spread out. From the outside, it seemed that his body suddenly slowly released circles of invisible fluctuations, and the Libra plate he was in also slowed down. Efficient. He was overjoyed and immediately grabbed a large amount of cards, including other and previous loot, except for the few rare and epic quality cards. The rest of the annoyance took out and stuffed it into it creation energy. At this time, life is at stake. How can I care whether these cards are valuable or not? and whether it is useful or not, I will use it to save my life first. The 6 random quality 5-star cards in the 2 missions, and the 12 random quality 5-star cards obtained from Wang Ying and Yan Renji, all made him annoyed. A full 18 5-star cards of rare quality and below were all decomposed, and a steady stream of fortune-telling energy poured out, which was an immediate change. Lin Xiao suddenly understood in his heart, and his thoughts swept through the remaining 2 epics and 11 rare quality 5-star cards, and selected 6 blue rare quality 5-star cards to incorporate into the magic cube. The more powerful energy of creation poured out than before, and the Libra plate he was standing on immediately stopped falling and started to rise. It didn't take long for the plate he was standing on to rise to the top of the scale. A crisp voice from the depths of the heart sounded. The trial of fate is over, you will gain the favor of fate and gain a trace of the power of fate. Then, the phantom of Libra under Lin Xiao's feet just disappeared. Then there is no such thing, except for a trace of the so-called power of destiny that was collected by the magic cube. There is no other change, and it is not like the subordinates who successfully pass the trial will gain power enhancement. After consuming a full 23 cherished cards, Lin Xiao didn't know what to say. Fortunately, if you can survive, even if you earn it, no matter how good things are, your life is more important. Besides, there are still 2 purple epic quality and 5 rare quality 5-star cards left, and if you kill the snake demigod glass later, there will be a bunch of better loot, and you won't lose money. Compared to him cheating through Krypton gold, Yan Renji and Wang Ying are not as lucky as him. Both of them are falling like him, but one is falling slowly and the other is falling fast. Yan Renji's Libra was falling even slower than Lin Xiao, but after all, it was still falling at an extremely slow rate. As for Wang Ying, her scale of destiny fell even faster than Lin Xiao. When he narrowly passed the test, Wang Ying's scale of destiny had already dropped to the bottom, and Wang Ying's pale face was full of anticipation of what was about to come. The fear of the unknown horror. Destiny will not be merciful just because she is beautiful. When the scale of destiny dropped to the bottom, a wave that made Lin Xiao feel a sense of urgency came. No. Wang Ying suddenly let out a scream, and right under his eyelids, the radiance of her divine power quickly dimmed, and then her smooth skin suddenly began to turn gray, dark, and swollen. She watched in horror as the flesh and blood fell off, revealing the bones of the arm. Even the arm began to turn gray and rough after the flesh and blood was separated. A light wind blew, and the gray bone meal flew into the distance. Not even the divine spirit remained. Down. In less than 10 seconds, a small and exquisite buttocks, a beautiful and lovely cute girl turned into a pile of flying ashes and disappeared, completely fallen. Chapter 84 Slaughter the Demigod. Bang! The head teacher of the first class, Chao Liang, slammed a fist on the stone wall, and watched his most promising student fall, but he was helpless. He was very sad. But there is really no way, but anyone who can save him will not sit idly by. The fall of Wang Ying had an unprecedented impact on Lin Xiao and Yan Renji. Compared with Lin Xiao, he was a little fortunate. Yan Renji was even more anxious when he saw that his scale was also slowly declining. At the same time, Glass, the most powerful snake man demigod in the entire sanctuary, finally began to accept the trial of the scale of destiny. The scale where he was located moved slightly and began to descend. Dude, it's all down and none up, it's simply. However, Lin Xiao is still very happy. The drop in the fate trial of the snake demigod means that the end of the snake demigod glass will also be miserable, which is a good thing. Speaking of which, he was very emotional about the asterisk of fate. In an ordinary medium-sized plane with no civilization and no true gods, there will be a relic, and it is a high-level relic. I don't know where Glass got it. Although the damage is very serious, it is estimated that it will not be used a few times, but it is also a relic of high school, and its power is so powerful that even the vice principal of the school cannot interfere. The so-called legacy, Lin Xiao had read in the Encyclopedia of Alien Planes before, but he had never seen it in reality. Because this thing is extremely rare, the whole school goes up to the old principal, down to the ordinary teachers. There are hundreds of faculty members and more than a dozen true gods. It seems that there are only 2. One is heard in the hands of the old principal, and the other is in the 3rd year of high school. In the realm of the senior class teacher. I don't know the name and effect of the treasure in the hands of the old principal, but the name and effect of the treasure in the hands of the senior class teacher in the 3rd year of high school are not secrets. Many people know that Lin Xiao has seen it curiously before. The relic of the senior class teacher of the senior year is a first-order relic called the Hammer of Giant Power. The effect is very integrated into the realm of the gods, increasing the power of all the family members in the realm of the gods. A little strength is equivalent to the strength of an adult man, and the increase alone is not much, but this increase refers to all the family members in God's domain. You must know that the senior class teacher in the 3rd year of senior high school is a true god. The divine realm is huge and has millions of family members. All family members have a little more power. This bonus is terrifying. With this comprehensive bonus, it is difficult for a true god of the same rank to be his opponent. And this is just the lowest first-order relic, on top of which there are second-order relics, third-order high-level relics, and more powerful super relics. The effect is simply. Let's put it this way, Lin Xiao saw on the encyclopedia that the most powerful 4th-order treasure was in the hands of a great being. It was called the Pillar of Eternity. It had 3 passive effects and 1 active effect. The powerful one was, he still remembers its specific properties to this day. Pillar of Eternity, 4th-order super treasure. Passive effect 1. When placed in the god's domain, it can increase the maximum lifespan of all family members by 1,000 years. Passive effect 2. When placed in the god's domain, all familiars automatically gain additional high regeneration. Passive effect 3. When placed in the god's domain, all the relatives will have an unlimited chance to revive within their lifespan. Active effect. Can be used once a year to designate a clan to gain immortality. Comments. This is a super treasure that contains the rules of life and eternity, and the owner will gain immortality. This thing can't directly increase the combat power of the family, but for a god, its effect is far better than directly increasing the combat power of the family. Think about it, all the family members get an extra 1,000 years of lifespan, which is enough to slowly cultivate the followers of the family to the minimum level of devout believers, not to mention the mad believers, and then 1 year can designate a devout family member to gain immortality. Think about how long the lifespan of a great divine power is, 1 day in the main world, 1 year in the divine domain, not to mention more, even if the main world is 10,000 years, the divine domain is 3.6 million years, that is 3.6 million infinite a fanatic of longevity. Tisk tisk, millions of mad believers are devout believers, how exaggerated the beliefs this can provide. And the more devout believers accumulated later, it is simply an exaggeration. If the heyday of the Fate Trial Libra was not damaged, it must be very powerful, and it is fortunate that it was damaged, otherwise they would all have to die. Yan Renji and Grass's scales are slowly descending, but the rate of descent is very slow. I don't know how long it has taken, but it doesn't fall to a certain point. The scales are in a tilted state, and the tilted plate is still a little short of the bottom of the scales. The distance stopped. Just when Lin Xiao wondered what was going to happen next, the scales reacted. Yan Renji, who was on the tilting scales, suddenly raised his head to the sky and let out a painful roar, and then a little golden light between his eyebrows slowly rose away from him, and his breath was also visible to the naked eye. Decline. He didn't die, but he was stripped of a bit of his divinity because of the falling of the scales. And the snake demigod glass above the shrine also roared in pain. And then a little golden light flew out from his eyebrows, quickly opened into a sea of AA blood, quickly evaporated and disappeared, and Glass's breath also plummeted. He is even worse than Yan Renji. Yan Renji was only deprived of a bit of his divinity. He was directly stripped of the blood priesthood. The body was poisoned, the strength of the burning divinity was greatly reduced, and all the believers died. Now they have been deprived of another major priesthood. The state of the snake god Grass has been reduced to the extreme at this time, and even the snake man priesthood cannot be maintained, slowly disappear. The best state of the entire god's domain is Lin Xiao and his many family members. With a thought, the family members who had been ready to move excitedly rushed to the shrine under his drive, unimpededly crossed the ruins of the shrine and entered the shrine where there was still a faint divine power, and came to the half-snake half-sitting on the shrine. God. Finding that it was not Lin Xiao but some mortal races, Glass roared as if he had been insulted. You are an insult to Glass, and you will be punished. He tried his best to stand up. The tall figure and the remaining divine might made the Murlocs take a step back subconsciously. However, under the leadership of the big Naga leader, many Naga boldly did not retreat but advanced. They threw a javelin in the distance and hit it. Glass poked in at the waist, and the golden divine blood flowed out from the wound, causing the eyes of the surrounding Naga fish to show a strong desire. Glass let out a muffled groan, and the thick and long snake tail slammed over and swept away Naga, who wanted to go forward to grab the blood of God. Damn mortal, the voice just fell, and hundreds of short spears were projected down. Grass's powerful physique was already weak to the point where even Naga's javelin could not resist. The huge body was filled with javelins, but he was unable to resist. He was too weak. At this point, Lin Shao felt relieved. He waved his hand to signal his family to step back. He was afraid that it would be a waste to let his subordinates make the blood of Grass's gods. Chapter 85 Testimonials on the Shelves. It's time to see it on the shelves again. It will be launched at 12 noon tomorrow. It will take some time to change the VIP status and upload it. You should be able to see it around 12:10. Please subscribe and ask for a reward. I think I have been writing for so long, and I have written one batch of testimonials, but it is still a hit. Cough, just chat about it. It's nothing more than asking for a subscription, asking for a reward, which is also a must. If you don't ask for a subscription and a reward, you have to drink the northwest wind. To put it bluntly, writing a book is to make money to maintain a living and work hard to support a family. Life is indescribable. Now I don't have the passion I had when I was young. I just want to earn some money honestly, do my best to give the 3 children a book, read and eat, and do my best to give them a good education as a father. Speaking of life, life is really like a dream. I have been a bachelor for 27 or 8 years. I used to think that it would be impossible to get married in this life. I have been a bachelor for a lifetime. I never thought that I am married and have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. Simply. 1 word. Miserable. 2 words. The pressure is great. It would be fine if I was an irresponsible man, but unfortunately I am a good and responsible man, alas. Above. Then ask for a subscription and a reward. Yes, it is asking for a subscription, not only the first order. If you like it, I hope you will try your best to support it before I write it down. I know that many people like to keep books. If they like it, I hope to open an automatic subscription to support it. You can rest assured that you will not lose money by customizing it. Familiar readers know that the chapters I put on the shelves are basically not intentionally mixed with water. Auto-subscribe to let me know it's real, not fake. In addition, I know that most of the collections are watching DB, but to see when DB is ahead, after watching it for so long, it is time to support the genuine version. In addition, send a reader group, 3626 34 440 seconds. Chapter 86 Destiny judges the true face of Libra. Subscribe. At this time, the Snake Man demigod was powerless to lie in front of the throne, leaning on the throne, but Lin Shao did not kill him immediately, but first reached out and picked up the soon-to-be-shattered Libra of Destiny that fell beside the throne and glanced at it. Destiny Judgment Libra, 3rd Order High Relic, Broken State. Passive Effect 1. Placed in the domain of God, all followers of the family will get a random buff every day. Damage is not available. Passive Effect 2. Placed in the God's domain, any enemy will get a random negative buff when entering the God's domain. Damage is not available. Active Effect. Judgment of Destiny. Every year, consume at least 1,000 years of life to activate the Judgment of Destiny Libra, and execute Judgment of Destiny on one target or multiple targets. Note 1. You can choose the trial result of fate, but the stronger the trial result, the longer the lifespan will be consumed. Note 2. The Libra of the Judgment of Destiny is in an extremely serious state of damage. While judging others, the holder will accept the same judgment, and the result of the judgment is uncontrollable. Evaluation. This is a high-level relic that contains the rules of fate and judgment, but it has been severely damaged after many battles. If it can be repaired, it will reproduce the terrifying power of the high-level relic. Fine. Lin Shao is a little fortunate that this thing has been damaged. If it is complete, he will definitely follow Wanying's footsteps. This thing, for the time being, it can only be put in the warehouse to eat ashes. With his current ability, it will definitely not be repaired. After putting the things away, Lin Shao raised his eyelids to look at the half-god demigod with a gray body. This guy is dead, and even if he doesn't hold on for a long time, he won't be able to maintain his priesthood and degenerate into a divine creature. But he obviously couldn't wait for himself to die, put away the fate and Judge Libra and strode to the snake demigod. At this time, Yan Renji also came here from the pain of being deprived of his divinity. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the endless stream of golden mist, which converged into a long spear. Without hesitation, he aimed at the dying snake demigod's head and stabbed it between the eyebrows. With a muffled sound of bang, a golden light erupted from the tip of the spear, and the pure gold spear was hard cut through the golden skull of the serpent demigod and inserted it. With a roar of pain, the powerless serpent demigod died under his gun. At the moment when the snake man demigod fell, he clearly felt that the entire sanctuary had dimmed. If there were no accidents, the sanctuary would collapse and disappear after a period of time. It's a pity that this is not a game, otherwise I don't know how much experience this gun has. As soon as the snake man demigod died, Lin Shao let out a long sigh and turned around to see 11 golden lights flying from the edge of the sanctuary. Your Excellency Vice Principal, teachers. Vice Principal Shu and the teachers didn't look good on their faces. Although they completed the feat of slaughtering a demigod in their first year of high school, Wang Ying died. Of course, the school will not be in any trouble because of this. After all, the school itself has a quota of deaths. Every final exam, some students will die unexpectedly, but this time the classmates who died are not ordinary. Wang Ying's parents don't get in trouble with the school because of this. Vice Principal Shu nodded. His eyes fell on the corpse of the snake demigod, a smile appeared on his face, and his mood was a little better, and he said, as soon as this snake demigod dies, the sanctuary will begin to collapse. You can directly integrate the sanctuary into your god's domain to expand the area of your god's domain. I'll take it. Lin Shao nodded again and again, raised his head and glanced at the faint brilliance emanating from the sky of the sanctuary. There was a feeling that the ink on the edge of the ink painting was soaked in water, which was a sign of the sanctuary's collapse, but it would take a long time before it completely collapsed. At this time, Vice President Shu said again, this demigod corpse is estimated to be able to extract 3 or 4 points of divinity. Classmate Wang Ying sacrificed, but classmate Yan Renji was stripped of a little bit of divinity just now. The teacher will discuss with you and transfer Wang Ying's bit of divinity to Yan Renji. What do you think of Lin Shao? Lin Shao immediately nodded and said, I'm okay. This is definitely no problem. Anyway, it has been agreed that we will go out with 2 points of divinity, and there is no difference between giving 2 and giving 1. Moreover, this is the vice principal discussing with himself. Although he doesn't want to divide it, it will be fine, but it will definitely make everyone unhappy, and it will also give everyone a stingy feeling, which is not good for the future. Vice President Shu nodded with satisfaction and said, that's very good. According to the previous agreement, everything in this sanctuary belongs to you. You take the demigod corpse first, and then transfer it to Yan Renji after you have extracted the divinity. The quest reward will be returned to the artifact platform and you can apply to the artifact by yourself. Specify the type of card. Finally, you'd better return as soon as possible after your divine realm devours the sanctuary. In addition, this matter should not be rumored for the time being. Okay. At this moment, the muscles on Lin Shao's face trembled, and his smile could hardly be suppressed. After all the hard work, it's finally time to reap the rewards. When the teachers, Yan Renji, left the sanctuary, he immediately jumped hundreds of meters high and hung in the air with his hips on his back, laughing, swept away the pessimism and depression caused by the fall of Wang Ying, and the thick snake tail swayed excitedly in the air. Come and go, everything in this huge sanctuary is mine. After laughing for 10 minutes, the excitement in Lin Shao's heart slowly subsided, and he only had the time to count his spoils. First of all, there are still 2 purple epics, 5 blue rare quality 5-star cards, all of which are high-quality goods. In addition to that, there will be a golden mythical and an orange legend quality 5-star card, and 10 a random 5-star card with a grade lower than the legendary quality. A huge anchor 7 or 8 meters long. A huge turtle shell more than 40 meters long. A 40-meter-long solid gold spear, this is the weapon of the snake demigod. A demigod corpse, a sanctuary, pile of metal, a broken treasure. Well, that's all. Other harvests were basically thrown into the magic cube and decomposed into nutrients when Krypton Gold saved his life. In addition, with Lin Xiao's previous performance, he is undoubtedly the best performer in the whole grade, and 100% is the first. He will receive a divine card rewarded by the head teacher, as well as the school's final exam reward, and the old principal's place for the super freshman summer camp. Well, I dare not say 100% for the last one. After all, the old principal said that this quota is for the top 3. Now there are him and Yan Renji in the top 3. I can only say that he has the highest probability, almost 99%. It is possible, but it cannot be ruled out that the old principal sent it to Yan Renji in a dizzy manner. But no matter what, no matter whether the so-called super freshman summer camp is given to him or not, the harvest of this final exam alone is already a super rich harvest, which directly makes him soar into the sky. This is also the main reason why everyone knows that the final exam is dangerous but is willing to come. As long as you have the ability and a little luck, you can reap far more benefits than the previous accumulation, especially for civilians with limited resources. Not to be missed. Collecting the sanctuary is very simple. Directly devour the sanctuary with one's own divine domain to increase the area of the divine domain. In a sense, sanctuary is actually a super god's domain expansion card that surpasses 5 stars. The divine realm card that Lin Xiao obtained before was actually made from the sanctuary or the divine kingdom. Any divine realm card in the world was made from the sanctuary or the divine kingdom, and only the sanctuary and the divine kingdom could be transformed into the divine realm. Other plane fragments and the like cannot be converted into God's domain. First communicate with the artifact platform, and first send the remaining Naga and Murlocs in the sanctuary back to Godha's domain, including the mother Naga and the little Naga who stayed in the overseas tribes and the Murlocs left behind, regardless of whether it is a Grey Fog Murloc or a Murloc. Indigenous Murlocs, as long as their own followers are annoyed, they will withdraw from the realm of the gods. It just happened that the losses in this battle were huge, and the remaining ones, regardless of whether they were Grey Mist Murlocs or ordinary Murlocs, could be worth more than 10,000. Go back to God's domain and cultivate them well. After a few generations, they will all be Grey Mist Murlocs. As soon as his mind moved to communicate with the divine realm, a faint attraction spread with Lin Xiao as the center. In the blink of an eye, the attraction was so powerful that it distorted the void. Circles of invisible fluctuations spread with him as the center. He began to tremble slightly, and the space began to ripple and wrinkle. It felt like the entire sanctuary space was like a painting. As he gently pulled the scroll in the center and wrinkled it, the entire sanctuary space began to shrink. At the same time, after devouring the constant source of sanctuary at the edge of Lin Xiao's God's domain in the subspace, the crystal wall at the edge of God's domain boiled like boiling water. The gray chaotic power rolled, and the inch by inch of the earth moved outward with the chaotic power. Surging and growing, the domain of the gods is beginning to expand. Unlike the God's domain card, he can freely transform the God's domain type by directly devouring the sanctuary. The gods transformed by the last God's card were all fertile land, and now he thought about it, 50% of the newly grown gods were plains, 20% were mountains, and the remaining 30% is the ocean. However, unlike the specially treated Godha's domain card, the Godha's domain land transformed by devouring the sanctuary is just a pure barren land, without any vegetation, and the land has no nutrients. It is necessary to find a way to cultivate the land and apply nutrients to grow plants. This is a big project. But this is not a problem. The most rare land is already there. What else is it? So many family members have nothing to do most of the time in God's domain, just to find something to do for them. After half an hour, there was less than 1 mile of the sanctuary with a diameter of about 13 kilometers, and the huge sanctuary was almost completely swallowed up. Reflected in the God's domain, the area of the God's domain expanded rapidly, more than doubling all of a sudden. He turned out to be 6 kilometers long, 3.5 kilometers wide, and 1 kilometer high. 78% were shallow seas, 15% were peninsulas, and 7% were islands. After devouring the sanctuary of the serpent man and demigod, under Lin Shao's intentional control, the area suddenly became a huge divine domain with a length of 8 kilometers from east to west, a width of 5 kilometers from north to south, and a height of 1 kilometer. Under his intentional control, the land and water area of God's domain was adjusted, of which 40% were land, 57% were shallow seas, and the remaining 3% were islands. At this time, the layout of God's domain was the same as before. The sea area was located in the east of God's domain, and the land was located in the west of God's domain. When the sanctuary at the core of the sanctuary collapsed, the remaining sanctuary also collapsed, turning into a chaotic energy vortex that was swallowed by him. When the last bit of energy disappeared, Lin Shao opened his eyes and saw the scene of the huge snake man demigod statue on the holy mountain platform collapsing and falling. At this point, the last trace of a demigod in the world has disappeared. Even if the snake man and the frogman come back here many years later and re-believe in the snake demigod glass, he will not be able to return from the astral world like the true God. He has completely fallen. With a single thought, his mind soared into the sky at an altitude of thousands of meters, looking at the distant mountains and swampy sea. A smile appeared on the corner of Lin Shao's mouth, and suddenly he waved to the depths of the distant sea, thinking of communicating with the artifact platform outside the plane. Return. A golden light rose into the sky. Chapter 87 Return to the artifact platform. Subscribe. Slowly opening his eyes, he saw the familiar artifact platform in front of him, and not far away was Yan Renji, whose face was still pale but in much better condition. He saw the returning Lin Shao come over, gritted his teeth and said with a complicated expression, "Congratulations, you are already ranked third since the school was established." Quote question mark question mark question mark. What arrogance! Lin Shao was stunned for a moment, but immediately realized what he was referring to. He should have said that he was the third student who successfully slaughtered a demigod in the first year of high school since the school was established. Qianzhao. The corners of his mouth were raised high, not pretentious, which he liked very much. Of course, he had to be humble on the surface, and waved his hand with a smile. "I can't do this. The other two seniors did it on their own. I used all means to weaken the snake demigods, and your help is far worse than the two seniors." As he spoke, he suddenly couldn't help grinning. As we all know, when people encounter very happy things, sometimes they can't help laughing, just like he is very reasonable now. Yan Renji's mouth twitched, his face speechless. Intense envy and jealousy made him feel that he couldn't talk anymore. After a few words, he left the artifact platform in the name of rest, and went directly back to his realm. Lin Shao bit his lower lip and kept from laughing loudly. He looked left and right at the other returning classmates on the platform. They didn't know what earth-shattering event he had just done. Deliberately ran over to tell people that I was so hung up, right? In fact, he had this idea, but Vice Principal Shu had previously told him not to spread the matter out, and it was also in the mind of protecting him. Of course, it's impossible to keep things under wraps all the time, but it's okay to hide them for a few months, and after he has digested this rich harvest, he will be fine. After a while, the excitement slowly subsided, and Lin Shao was in the mood to communicate with the artifact platform and receive the reward for the task of killing demigods by himself. But beyond his expectations, the artifact spirit who just communicated with the artifact platform artifact said this first. "Congratulations to Lin Shao for accomplishing a rare feat in the school's history, beheading a demigod. This unexpected extra treatment is a bit cool." Before, the artifact and the spirit didn't speak so well. After extra congratulations, the tool spirit resumed the mechanical voice and said, "According to the Vice Principal's instructions, Lin Shao can choose one mythical quality 5-star card, one legendary 5-star card, and 10 5-star cards of legendary quality and below, and can choose the card type freely." Tisk tisk. He rubbed his hands excitedly and asked eagerly, "What are the 5-star cards of myth and legend quality?" The artifact spirit immediately replied, "There are currently 4 golden myth 5-star cards and 28 legendary 5-star cards." As he said that, a light curtain unfolded in front of him, showing a total of 32 cards of 4 golds and 28 oranges. Lin Shao's eyes swept across the golden light flashing orange light on the card, and he couldn't help but widen his eyes just by passing the first one. The first mythical quality golden card is a divine card, which contains a little bit of divinity. The second mythical quality golden card is an ancient war tree. After use, it can summon 4 ancient war trees with a level of 6. The height is 100 meters high. It can throw war fruits with spikes like a trebuchet. More than 5 ranks are extraordinary, and the combat power is one of the best even in the same rank. The third mythical quality golden card is a divine domain card, which is larger than the cherished extraordinary divine domain card that Lin Xiao merged before, and is almost as big as the sanctuary of a snake demigod. Incorporates a mythical quality dominion card. The fourth golden card of mythological quality is a rare resource card, a small magic spring. It can be placed in the god's domain to form a small spring containing magic spring. The family lives around the magic spring for a long time. The power will be relatively high, and there is a very small probability of awakening the hidden power in the bloodline to become a bloodline warlock. Of course, the premise is that there is a warlock bloodline. To put it simply, this thing is suitable for cultivating the domain of gods such as mages and warlocks. Compared with the mythological quality cards, the 28 legendary quality cards are relatively inferior, but the difference is limited. After all, they are extremely rare. He glanced at them, and there are some good things in them. One of each of the 2 quality cards can be selected. Lin Xiao first carefully browsed through the 28 legendary quality cards and picked a warrior class card. He doesn't need anything else, and now he lacks a profession to further develop his family's strength. As for the golden myth card, there is no need to say, you must choose a divine card, the more the better. If the size of God's domain and the strength of the family are fundamental, then divinity is the core. In the final analysis, isn't it just to condense divinity? The stronger the divinity, the stronger the strength. This thing is not too much at all. After choosing these 2 big heads, there are 10 random quality 5-star cards below the legendary, but it is random, but there is still a certain number: 1 purple epic, 2 blue rare, 3 green treasures, 4 whiteboards. Lin Xiao thought about it carefully, took a moment to purposefully select 10 cards from the densely packed cards, and then received the divine card rewarded by the head teacher, and the light curtain disappeared. When he got the things, he was not interested in staying here, so he went straight back to his realm. As soon as he returned, he immediately found that the kingdom of God had become very empty, and the corresponding kingdom of God had also become larger at the same time. Tens of thousands of murlocs and more than 300 nagas were busy in the tribe. The kingdom of God was crowded with petitioners, all believers who died in the previous attack on the semi-sanctuary of the snake people, and came to his kingdom of God after death. The total number is about 50,000 or 60,000, including 257 nagas. There are 100,000 murlocs who died in battle, and the reason why there are only so many is because the believers who died in the semi-holy place of the snake people cannot be brought back. Believers who died in the kingdoms of other gods and gods would be directly swallowed up by the enemy kingdoms of gods, and there was no way to receive them. There are so many petitioners in the kingdom of God. Fortunately, the petitioners don't have to eat, otherwise they can't afford it at all. Lin Xiao selected all Naga petitioners as the guardians and managers of the kingdom of God. These devout family members had already risen to the 4th level before their death, and their strength was much stronger than his original guardian of the kingdom of God. After becoming petitioners, they will recover to peak state. Of course, based on the principle of fairness, he also selected a group of elite murloc petitioners to act as divine guards, and the rest of the petitioners were placed all over the kingdom of God and managed by elite murlocs and Naga petitioners. Lin Xiao changed the rules in the kingdom of God and turned the earth into rich, fertile black soil. As long as the seeds are sprinkled, they can grow and have a good harvest. The river is full of fatty fish and shrimp, and the earth is full of fruit trees. The branches are full of heavy fruits. The bushes are full of sweet and juicy berries, you can pick them up with your hands. The sea is full of plump seaweeds, fish and shrimp, and the seaside is full of live, plump and juicy sea cockroaches and other bugs. A bite of the mouth burst sauce, just like heaven. The petitioner doesn't need to eat to live forever, but he has to prepare it for the petitioners. Moreover, all of these were created by him changing the rules of the kingdom of God and using divine power. They were illusory, and he deliberately created a heavenly world, so that the petitioners could live happily in the kingdom of God, and only then could they believe in him. The Lord maintains the most devout faith and provides him with faith from generation to generation. Until there are too many resurrections and become weaker and weaker, and finally can no longer maintain his body, he will completely integrate into the kingdom of God and become a part of the kingdom of God. However, this is the attitude of the indigenous gods of the different crystal wall to the petitioners. The civilization of the main world is not so backward and barbaric. The gods of the main world have contributed a lifetime of faith to the petitioners, until they can no longer provide faith. At times, the petitioner will not be integrated into the kingdom of God, but the petitioner will be reincarnated in the realm of the gods and reincarnated. As the most devout believer who has believed in the Lord of God's domain for several lifetimes, he is innately close to the Lord of the domain of God, and does not need guidance. As long as he is exposed to faith in his growth, he can naturally re-believe in the Lord of the domain of God, and his belief is extremely devout. There is no need for so many petitioners in God's realm for the time being. Lin Shao set these 50 or 60,000 murlocs in a state of reincarnation. As long as there are murlocs in God's domain who are pregnant, they can be reincarnated immediately. There is no need to pay attention to it for the time being in God's domain. Lin Shao has more important things to do now, which is to count the loot excitingly. 2 golden mythological quality divine cards, 1 for the task reward and 1 for the class teacher's reward. It is a pity that the final exam has not yet ended, and the school reward has not yet been issued. A legendary warrior class card. Occupation. Warrior. Level 5. Occupation bonus. Constitution +1, Strength +1, Agility +0.5. Specialty. Basic Melee LV1, Basic Footwork LV1. Skills. Charge LV1, One-Handed Sword Master LV1. Evaluation. Entry-level Basic Melee Occupation. These attributes are additional attributes added after inauguration as a soldier, and overlap with their own attributes. A set of skill cards, including 1 epic quality, 2 rare qualities, 3 cherished qualities, and 4 whiteboards, all of which were 5-star skill cards that had just been deliberately selected. He had a bold idea to try. A huge anchor 7 or 8 meters long. A huge turtle shell more than 40 meters long. A 40-meter-long solid gold spear. This is the weapon of the snake demigod. A demigod corpse. A sanctuary. Pile of metal. A broken treasure. This is all he has gained from this final exam. It is simply a cool one. After counting the spoils, Lin Shao held his chin in his hand and thought for a while, and decided to decompose the demigod's corpse first, and then extract the remaining divinity from the snake man demigod's corpse. This does not need to use the magic cube, any divine creature can do it, and it is a general ability. First, the gigantic demigod corpse was taken out, and the tens of meters long body was lined up on the square. The wound on the body was closed, and the surface of the body was gray and dark yellow. Demigod, such an existence that theoretically has infinite lifespan and immortality has fallen, and the corpse is placed here for others to dissect. Lin Shao is quite emotional. But this is fate. If you want to become stronger, you have to step on the enemy's corpse to grow. Not just a demigod, if he continues to improve in the future, even a true god will have to face it. At the same time, when he grows on the corpse of the enemy, he may become the nourishment for the growth of others in the future. Like Wan Ying, he fell into the hands of the powerhouses of the exotic crystal wall. If he does not want to fall into such a state, he can only make himself become stronger. Chapter 88 Extracting Divinity and Integrating Divinity Subscription. To be honest, Lin Shao was a little impulsive this time, and he was a little scared when he calmed down and thought about it afterwards. Fortunately, he did not greedily agree to the participation of Wan Ying and Yan Renji. The two shared the pressure, otherwise he would use his strength to defeat the snake man. Demigods are quite suspended. No matter how bad the demigod is still a demigod. In the last battle, the demigod of the snake man was still far stronger than him with the help of the home court. He might not be able to fight without the two sharing the pressure. Although he still won in the end, the lesson needs to be learned. If there is a next time, he will be more cautious. After summing up himself, Lin Shao retracted his thoughts, and his eyes fell on the corpse of the snake demigod, his eyes almost emitting light. Excitedly rubbing his hands, he stretched out his right hand and slowly pressed it on the corpse of the snake man demigod grass. A faint golden light lit up and quickly became denser, and a faint golden light wave like a pulse appeared in the palm of his hand. The center of the body quickly spread the body of the snake demigod. The divine power aroused the remaining divinity of the demigod's corpse, and the gray corpse began to light up with bright golden light, as if it had come alive. After a few seconds, his eyes lit up and he said softly, "Rise." Holding the corpse's hand and grasping, the bright golden light that diffused the corpse quickly flowed back to his palm and converged, as if his palm was attracting the golden light swaying from the corpse, and soon the golden light in his palm converged and condensed into a ball. A dazzling golden ball of light. 3 points of divinity. Lin Xiao was a little disappointed, a little less than he thought. If it was 4 o'clock it would be fine. It can be seen from this that the snake demigod in its heyday should have 7 points of divinity. A few decades ago, he lost 1 point in Lin Xiao God realm, burned 3 points, and left 3 points. The standard to become a demigod normally is 5 points of divinity. The accumulated divinity of the snake human demigod is only just above the standard, and it is also at the bottom of the demigod. The 3 points of divinity are given to Yan Renji 2 points, 1 for himself, 1 for the task reward, 1 for the head teacher, and 3 points. He just didn't know if there was a divine card in the mythical card that was awarded for the first place in the school's final exam. If there was one, he would definitely choose the divine card. In this way, Lin Xiao himself has a bit of divinity, and a bit has not yet been condensed. By combining these 3 points, he will have a total of 5 points of divinity. He is willing, 100% can condense the 2 priesthoods of creation and Naga to become a demigod. But this is obviously impossible. How could he be so short-sighted so early in condensing the priesthood to become a demigod, and he would have to accumulate dozens of points of divinity to become a demigod? Well, in principle, the more the better. Because this involves the strength of the cohesive priesthood and the potential. As we all know, there are thousands of priesthoods in the world, some strong and some weak, and the gap between a strong priesthood and a weak priesthood is quite large. For example, they are also demigods. One condenses the priesthood of war, and the conferred god is the god of war with outstanding combat power. The other condenses the priesthood of the pond, and the conferred god is called the god of the pond. Needless to say, the gap between them is exaggerated. Powerful priesthoods require more divinity to carry, such as low-level priesthoods such as ponds or lakes, which only need 1 or 2 or 3 points of divinity to carry, such as war, killing, destruction, death, magic, etc. When a powerful priesthood does not have dozens of points of divinity, it cannot be condensed at all. Of course, the creation priesthood that Lin Xiao now possesses is also considered a powerful priesthood, but he is a gift that belongs to the law of the underworld, and it is an additional possession, which can be carried with only a little divinity. In addition, because he is the creator of the Naga species, he only needs less divinity to carry this racial priesthood than other racial priesthoods. These 2 priesthoods belong to extra special circumstances, but it is impossible for Lin Xiao to condense only these 2 priesthoods. These 2 priesthoods are not good at fighting, so you have to work hard to condense a powerful combat priesthood. Of course, the priesthood can be promoted, even if it is originally a pawn priesthood, as long as there are enough opportunities and efforts in the future. You can integrate other priesthoods to promote your main priesthood to a more powerful priesthood, such as adding shallow water to ponds or lake water to synthesize lake priesthood. Another example is the priesthood of lakes, coupled with the priesthood of water, as well as the priesthood of shallow seas, tides and other related priesthoods, which can be combined into the powerful priesthood of the ocean. Even if the war priesthood can condense the war priesthood in one step, it can also be synthesized from a branch of the small priesthood, such as conflict, riot, combat, fighting and other small priesthoods related to combat, can be combined with other related priesthoods, the priesthood of war. Only, although it is said that no matter how weak the priesthood is, there is room for growth, but if you can have a strong priesthood in one step, why should you wait for it to gradually upgrade in the future? Isn't it sweet to have a powerful priesthood now? Moreover, starting with a strong priesthood, it will be valued by all forces from the beginning, whether it is a school or a family. If Lin Xiao is promoted to a demigod with a powerful priesthood, he will definitely be valued by the entire family, whether it is to gain benefits for himself or to give a beautiful mother a face, he will choose this. Moreover, he also holds the Rubik's Cube of good fortune, and the golden finger is in his hand, so he has to choose that. Therefore, 5 points of divinity are just a starting point for him. He has to try his best to accumulate at least 20 or 30 points of divinity within 3 years of high school, so that he can condense a powerful priesthood in one step. After extracting the divinity, the golden luster on the corpse of the snake man demigod is even more dim. The corpse at this time is only equivalent to a corpse containing powerful energy. The only function for Lin Xiao is to extract the remaining half of the corpse. God's flesh and blood essence, used by one of his most devout and powerful relatives, he wants to create a hero. Before refining the corpse, Lin Xiao had to combine the 3 points of divinity. The fusion of divinity is very simple. Decompose 3 dazzling golden light balls in the Rubik's Cube, erase the will and spiritual imprint left in the divinity and turn them into pure divinity. The flesh and blood skulls are integrated into the body, and then the divine soul communicates with the divine nature and belongs to the sea of Aaa divine, and fuses with the soul. As the dazzling golden ball of light slowly sank into his brain from his forehead, Lin Xiao heard the fusion divinity prompt from the divine domain logger system in his ears. He turned a deaf ear, closed his eyes and waited for the 3 points of divinity to merge one by one. At this moment, he could clearly feel the moment when these 3 points of divinity merged with himself, and waves of warm currents that were extremely hot to him surged from the sea of Aaa divine. He came out and quickly flowed to the whole body. The muscles where he passed became firmer, the strength skyrocketed, and a faint golden mist sprayed out from his nose and mouth to cover the whole body. As he breathed and breathed, his body it is also slowly expanding. With the gradual fusion of the 3 points of divinity, the real body will naturally grow gradually, and the upper limit of the power that can be accommodated will also increase. After about 2 or 3 minutes, Lin Xiao slowly opened his eyes and opened his God Panella A. Username: Lin Xiao, citizen number TXWD 542,154,895,147. Real name: Cyberlux Meyer. God name: Lord of the Sea, God of Naga and Murlocs. Godhead: none. Occupation: none. Divinity: 4+1. God fire: not ignited. Divine power: 0. Divine transcendent power: Titicaler. Kingdom of God: Sea of Aa Gray Fog. Sect: Naga and Murloc ancestors. Believers: Black Scale Naga, Gray Mist Murloc. Occupation: none. Faith value: 2.28 million points. The biggest change is the increase in divinity. As long as you get 100 million faith points, you can immediately gather a little more divinity to reach the minimum standard for condensing priesthood. Other than that, not much has changed, but Lin Xiao pondered for a while, and with a thought, the name of the Kingdom of God on the God panel changed from the Sea of Aa Gray Fog to the Kingdom of the Rubik's Cube. In fact, he wanted to call it the Kingdom of Good Fortune, but this title was too condescending, and he felt that he could not bear it. First, he would use this for a transition, and when his strength became stronger, for example, if function became a true god, he could name his domain as the Kingdom of Good Fortune. Closing the panel, Lin Xiao turned his attention to the corpse on the floor. First cut off one arm of the corpse, which was given to Yan Renji, and then stuffed the remaining corpse into the Rubik's Cube. With a thought, the Rubik's Cube began to rotate slowly, and a mysterious wave gushed out from the Rubik's Cube space. The corpse crumbled into a cloud of dark golden blood under his eyelids. Then, there is purification. Decompose the excess flesh and blood residue in this dark golden blood mist, leaving only the purest flesh and blood essence. This step took a little time, but it wasn't long, so Lin Xiao patiently waited. With the erosion of the magic cube power, the dark golden blood mist began to shrink slowly, and a large amount of impurities were directly decomposed and absorbed by the magic cube. Although it is an impurity, it is also a nutrient to the Rubik's Cube. After being absorbed, it is converted into a trace amount of good fortune energy and stored, which is used to make up for the lack of good fortune energy when the Rubik's Cube decomposes or fuses cards in the future. There is nothing extraordinary about the bloodline of a snake man and a demigod. It is just that a very powerful snake man gains the worship and belief of his family, and thus becomes a divine creature, and then slowly becomes a demigod, which is essentially no different from other snake men. And the snake man bloodline Lin Xiao had previously decomposed and integrated into the Naga bloodline, and now he doesn't need it. After about 5 minutes, the blood fog ball in the cube disappeared, replaced by a dark golden crystal the size of an egg. Divine blood crystal, myth, a special material that can enhance the life essence of eligible living beings and be promoted to a hero. This is a golden mythological material extracted from the Rubik's Cube. If it is converted into a card, it is an ultra-rare 5-star card with a mythical quality and a value comparable to a bit of divinity. The effect of this thing is very simple, it promotes a qualified life form to a hero. And this so-called condition is the upper limit of species level. For example, if it is used for the black scale Naga, it must be used by a Naga who has reached the upper limit of Naga level 4 to be promoted to a hero, and it cannot be promoted below level 4. For another example, if it is used for Grey Mist Murlocs, only the 2nd level will suffice, because the upper limit of the Grey Mist Murloc race is the 2nd level Murloc warriors. There are a lot of qualified Naga and Murlocs under Lin Xiao's command, but in his eyes there is only one family that is most suitable, that is, the big Naga leader who is stronger and wiser than his peers. Chapter 89 Powerful Fusion Profession, Almighty Warrior. A hero generally refers to a person with great courage and force. Or referring to a person with heroic qualities. Or it refers to a person who is selfless and selfless, bravely fought hard for the interests of the people, and has an admirable character. Heroes in the realm of the gods generally refer to those who possess great courage and force, and have firm beliefs, and have both good and bad morals. Of course, it does not mean that you can become a hero if you have the courage and force. This is just a prerequisite. Whether you can become a hero or not is largely related to luck. Except for heroes like Lin Xiao who were created with special treasures, ordinary heroes generally have their strengths up to the racial upper limit, and then because of certain circumstances breaking the racial upper limit, there is a very small probability of becoming a hero, but it is more likely that they will not be able to. To be a hero is just to break through the racial limit and advance to one level. Ida like a Murloc warrior with a racial upper limit of only level 2 is promoted again through some kind of treasure. The most likely is to be promoted to a level 3 Murloc leader. For a Murloc hero, the basic strength of a hero is related to the race of origin. Even if it is just born, it has strength that exceeds the upper limit of the race, but this is not the point. The point is that the hero breaks the racial shackles. As long as it is properly cultivated, it can theoretically be promoted infinitely. For example, a Murloc hero, as long as he does not die and is well trained, can theoretically be promoted all the way to the 7th level, 8th level, or even 9th level, becoming a legendary hero who can easily slay dragons. Of course, Lin Xiao would not give this precious divine blood crystal to a Murloc, he already had a goal. However, before the fusion, he had to synthesize a new occupation and load it into all the family members, and then promote the hero based on the occupation. The gap between a hero with a profession and a hero without a profession is quite large. It is equivalent to a person who fights by instinct and a systematic career plan. The gap between them gets bigger and bigger. Lin Xiao stretched out his right hand, a warrior profession card appeared in his right hand, and his left hand turned over again, and a stack of cards with different light and shade appeared in his left hand. These are 10 random 5-star cards of the following legendary quality rewarded by killing demigods. All selected are skill cards. Early on, he had a draft. Using the decomposition and fusion ability of the magic cube, he decomposed and refined a series of skills, and then integrated them into the occupation card to greatly strengthen this occupation card, or reshape a new occupation. The occupation card did not move, so he first put the 10 skill cards into the magic cube one by one, decomposed them separately, and extracted the skills and put them aside. Then came the key point. Through the authority of the creator of the Black Scale Naga, he temporarily stripped off all the skills of the Black Scale Naga, namely Bloodthirsty, Homeopathic Slash, Basic Footwork, and Salted Fish Thrust. The sudden deprivation of the skill really caused a panic among the family members in the god domain. Many devout believers thought it was the gods, kneeling down and praying in anger and fear. Fortunately, Lin Xiao quickly released a divine metaphor to appease, so there was no trouble. As the creator of the black-scaled Naga species, Lin Xiao has the right to grant them skills, talents, etc., and also has the right to deprive them. Only the creator has this ability, not non-created species. For example, Yan Renji's lava lizardman was not created by Yan Renji, so he could not deprive the lava lizardman of any ability. Moreover, his deprivation does not belong to the racial strengthening of the black-scaled Naga, it is just a normal adjustment. The racial strengthening involves the fundamental bloodline, that is, the talent, which means that he only needs to deprive the black-scaled Naga of the talent or give new ones. Talent, even if it is adjusted, is considered a racial enhancement, and it is considered to consume an opportunity for racial enhancement. Lin Xiao has a plan in mind for Naga's racial strengthening, but he doesn't have the right racial talent to load now. According to his plan, some of the talents and expertise Naga has now are useful, and some are quite tasteless. At that time, he will have to replace at least half of them, and then add a few carefully selected powerful talents and expertise. It does not require too much, but must be strong. This is all for the future, now the focus is on recasting skills. He plans to integrate all the skills into his profession, including the powerful skill of the salted fish thrusting. By the way, he will adjust the salted fish thrusting skill. He has long been dissatisfied with the way this skill is used. Most of the 10 skill cards include basic passive skills, including the most common weapon skills, such as one-handed sword specialization, two-handed sword specialization, archery specialization, etc. He intends to integrate all weapon skills into one. With a thought, all the basic weapon skills in the magic cube merged into a violently tumbling chaos. Then, the bloodthirsty skill is directly decomposed and melted into nutrients. This skill feels useless and occupies a skill position. As for homeopathic slashing, this feeling has nothing to be strengthened. According to the skill concept, he feels that there is nothing to strengthen, and now he has insufficient resources to strengthen it. Come. Then there is the salted fish stab. He merges with the warrior's general skills charge and interception, absorbs the advantages of these two skills, and then decomposes two rare cards for nutrient enhancement. Then, fuse the warrior skill, jump strike, with the general warrior skill, thunder strike, and then decompose the remaining skills as nutrients to strengthen the skill of base. So far, all skill cards have been decomposed. Don't lean, all skills have been strengthened separately, and then all these skills are integrated into the occupation card, and a card with a strong golden light is suspended in the magic cube. Some couldn't wait to take out the card, and Lin Xiao immediately looked at its attributes. Occupation. Unnamed. Level. Level 5. Occupation bonus. Constitution +2, Strength +2, Agility +1. Specialties. Basic Melee LV2, Basic Footwork LV2, Multi-Weapon Specialization LV2. Skills. Salted Fish Stab, Changed Thunderclap, Changed Homeopathic Slash. Evaluation. A magical warrior variant occupation, able to skillfully use a variety of weapons to fight. As for the name, Lin Xiao casually named it, Almighty Warrior. After all, the multi-purpose weapon specialization includes common weapon specialties, including archery. It is very appropriate to call it an all-around warrior. After strengthening, the current power of the salted fish stab has not changed, but the impact speed is faster, and it can charge without a target. Before, you could only designate a target to charge, but now you can hit the empty space without a target, and you can naturally intercept the target, making it more flexible to use. The effect of Thunderclap is still the same as before. Slam the ground with a weapon, causing twice the shock damage of your own attack to surrounding enemies and slowing down. The stronger the strength, the larger the shock range. In addition to the original effect, you can now jump to 20 meters away. The effect of a thunderclap is applied when landing. Similarly, the stronger the strength, the farther the jumping distance will be. The stronger the strength, it is possible to jump hundreds of meters or even thousands of meters away. In theory, there is no upper limit. Holding this shiny golden card and looking left and right, Lin Xiao was very satisfied to load it in the god's domain. The loading conditions are the same as before. As long as it is a true believer, it can be obtained, and it is not limited to Naga or Murloc. However, Murlocs must be promoted to first-level Murloc warriors before they can be loaded. Unupgraded Murlocs are too weak to support this profession. No matter Naga or Murloc, as long as you load a profession, you can immediately get everything given by the profession, including the attributes, specialties and skills of the profession bonus. That is to say, any first-level Murloc warrior loads Almighty Warriors, obtains a series of professional bonuses, and immediately has the strength comparable to the original second-level Naga. Most importantly, class level and species level are calculated separately and can be stacked. In other words, the Murloc species is destined to only be upgraded to the second-level Murloc warrior, but the all-around warrior professional level can be upgraded to the 5th level, that is to say, after the Murloc warrior reaches the upper limit of the race, he can also improve his strength by upgrading the professional level. Just because the race cannot be improved, the strength is definitely not as good as the professionals of other advanced races. But for the Murlocs, a well-known waste race in the multiverse, it is already very good to have a career, and how dare you ask for so much? The Murlocs in many crystal wall planes in the multiverse have no such thing as a profession. Even the Murlocs in the player's realm in the main world, few people are willing to get a professional card for the Murlocs to load. Most of them choose the first after the strength is enough. The two races slowly replace the weaker race that was originally chosen. Lin Xiao is also from the same source of Naga and Murloc. The main basic bloodline used to create Naga is Murloc, so Murloc can also load this profession, not that he specially prepared this profession for Murloc. It's so real. He had to sigh with emotion, but he was not ashamed. After synthesizing the profession and loading it, Lin Xiao set his sights on the divine blood crystal, and now he can be promoted to a hero. But before that, he had to give a divine illusion to the believers to hold a large prayer ceremony. Promotion of a hero is such a big thing, it is too wasteful not to hype up the promotion of faith. While the believers were preparing for the large-scale prayer ceremony, Lin Xiao was not idle. He took out the huge anchor with a length of 7 or 8 meters and refined it, and used the magic cube to refine the impurities inside to remove only pure steel. The head also shrunk from 7 or 8 meters long to less than 6 meters, ready to reward his hero as a weapon. At the same time, the large amount of metal harvested from the semi-sanctuary of the snake people will be extracted and cast into a 4-meter-long stainless steel spear with a thick wrist, which will be rewarded together at that time. These are the spoils of war he obtained from the treasury of the demigods of the snakes. Whether it is divinity or the divine blood crystals extracted from the corpses of the demigods of the snakes, they can be used at will regardless of restrictions. As for the professional card, it is actually restricted, but unfortunately, he just got another slot for fusion card after 10 days of final exam, which he just used. It is worth mentioning that during the 2-month vacation after the final exam, the limit of his fusion card is still calculated according to the first grade, 1 quota per month, exactly 12 quotas per year. Only when the second year of high school starts, there will be 2 places per month. Chapter 90 The Epic Hero Slarda. Within the tribe, tens of thousands of Murlocs and more than 300 Nagas gathered in the center of the expanding tribe, dancing around the altar to dance the Maori war dance that Lin Xiao had taught his family before. The altar is made of huge stones. It is bigger than before, and it is full of food. Most of them are fish in the sea. There is a bison that has just been slaughtered. The leader of the big Naga holds a bone staff and brings many people around dancing frantically at the altar. With the top of the moon, the sacrificial prayers entered the most frenetic stage. Lin Xiao, who had prepared early, decisively consumed 500,000 faith points. The golden light, as the dark clouds spread out, became brighter and brighter, and a huge golden outline appeared above the sky, illuminating the entire divine realm. The great creator, the supreme master of the sea, the god of Naga and Murlocs is above. The huge face is so huge and majestic, the believers who are dancing, the believers who are praying devoutly, at this moment all bow their heads reverently, and recite his godly name in their mouths. At this moment Lin Xiao could clearly sense the piety in the hearts of many believers on the earth. He is quite professional in managing the beliefs of believers. With a thought, the majestic face of the sky, which occupies most of the god's domain, slowly opened his eyes, and a rumbling sound resounded like thunder, echoing between heaven and earth. I say, the brave shall be praised, the wicked heresy shall be punished, and my brave warrior shall be rewarded. Under Lin Xiao's control, every word he said was like a roar of thunder, containing awe-inspiring power, which could make mortals tremble with awe and fear. Lin Xiao has a lot of experience in this regard. He has carefully studied the books about spreading beliefs in this world, and has combined with the famous religious deeds of the previous life and the words of modern masters. Based on his own understanding, he has a set of unique books that belong to him. The missionary concept, he tried it in his own domain, and he felt that the effect was very good. I say, as soon as the voice fell, a golden light descended from the sky like a beam of light, shrouding the big Naga leader in it, and his even more majestic voice echoed between heaven and earth. My most devout warrior, your extraordinary bravery and faith are in my heart. If you make mistakes, you should be punished, and if you have merit, you should be rewarded. I hereby give you infinite power. As soon as the words fell, Lin Xiao gently threw the divine blood crystal from the kingdom of God into the realm of the gods, and fell straight into the forehead of the big Naga in the eyes of the believers, and merged into it. Dazzling golden light, streaks of golden light sprayed out from the scales several feet long, and the scales were dyed golden, and the black scales complemented each other to give a dark golden color. Integrating most of the flesh and blood essence of a demigod, the powerful power contained in it frantically transformed the Naga leader. He roared, his body expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his breath grew rapidly like a boost, and his eyes became more and more intense. The more fanatical the faith. However, the more Lin Xiao looked, the more his brows wrinkled. After thinking about it, a trace of spiritual sense reached out to communicate with this believer. No way, he has seen that this believer is turning in the direction of a mad believer, and he has to stop it. If it was said that other believers were promoted to mad believers, he would not stop them, but would rather see them succeed, but this is not the case. The reason is very simple. As his first hero, and a hero who was promoted through the fusion of divine blood crystals, this Naga leader is destined to have a long lifespan, and it is possible to have an immortal lifespan in the near future, so important believer, it would be a waste to be a fanatic. Lin Xiaofei didn't just want a fanatic at such a high price, he wanted a saint. You know, true believers, devout believers, mad believers, and saints are fourth-level believers. Although the power of faith provided by mad believers is higher than that of devout believers, mad believers have a fatal flaw, that is, they cannot be promoted to saints again. That is to say, the faith of the fanatic has come to an end. If you want to get the highest saint, you can only be promoted directly from the level of the devout believer, skipping the mad believer. If other believers become mad believers, of course, the better, but as a hero he cultivated with so much effort and resources, he must have high hopes. How could it be possible for him to become mad believers? Therefore, he had to take the initiative to communicate with this believer with divine sense, and constantly hinted that he should remain rational and not be fanatical. He can only imply that direct and explicit will affect the purity of the faith, and likewise will never become a saint. This short time of less than a minute was extremely tormenting for Lin Xiao, for fear of losing his success. But fortunately, he was lucky, and the aptitude of this big Naga leader was good, and in the end he maintained his rationality and did not transform into a mad believer. It took less than a minute for him to withdraw his spiritual sense. This family member had grown from the original 7 meters to over 10 meters. The body was stronger and thicker, the scales were thicker, and the color changed from pure black to black with a hint of black. Gold is changing in the direction of dark gold. With the completion of the fusion promotion, the Naga leader who had skyrocketed in size slowly got up, and a light red halo spread from his feet with him as the center, until he was 100 meters away. Hero Halo, epic hero. Lin Xiao was overjoyed. This corpse flower was worth it. The sky lit up, and the thunderous voice sounded again. My bravest warrior, I will give you the name, Slaughter. At the same time, another golden light landed on Slaughter's side from the sky. With a boom, a big hole was smashed. It was the big anchor that was prepared for him as a weapon. Open the newly popped up hero panel. The attributes of the newly promoted hero Slaughter are impressive. Hero Slaughter. Race Black Scale Naga. Level Epic. Hero Halo. Vampire. 25% of the damage dealt to the enemy will be converted into life energy back to yourself, and allies in the halo will get half of the effect. Hero Talent. Epic Hero Constitution. immunity to instant death damage, high regeneration, physical damage reduction by 25%, overall resistance plus 25%. Hero skills. Sprint LV1, Salted Fish Stab LV1, Thunder Smash LV1. Constitution. 17 points. You have an extraordinary constitution, and you can automatically heal within seconds of cutting your fingers. Strength. 18 points. You can wrestle with fierce beasts such as dire bears, yulongs, etc. Agility. 8/18 points. You are more agile and faster in water than on land. Spirit. 5 points. Your spirit is very strong, and you can easily become a spellcaster with training. Evaluation. This is a very powerful epic hero with strong melee abilities, and will be even more powerful in water. The hero levels from low to high are ordinary, elite, epic, legend. It is said that there are stronger heroes above the legend, but there is no record on the encyclopedia, and Lin Xiao does not know what it is. Those who are too far away from him, at this stage, are already quite powerful for his second-year high school student. The Harpy King under Wan Ying's command is just an ordinary template hero. The skills of heroes are determined by the talent, skills and specialties they have before they are promoted, and are generally comprehensive enhanced versions of the original talents and skills. For example, many talents of Slarda are directly integrated into the talent of Epic Hero Physique, and the 3 skills are also enhanced versions of many skills. What surprised him the most was the hero's blood-sucking halo. Not all heroes have this thing. Only heroes above the epic level will have the halo. The source is also related to the pre-promotion. Slardar can obtain the blood-sucking aura, which is most likely related to the blood priesthood once held by the snake demigod. Slarda was promoted to a hero, and his belief level was still a devout believer, but he was far more devout than the average devout believer. He was comparable to the average mad believer, but he was not fanatical, and he still maintained his rationality. This is exactly what Lin Xiao wants. Only with the most devout faith, maintaining reason, and having an extraordinary understanding of the doctrine of believing in gods, can they be promoted to saints when the 3 are unified. Of course, there is no church in Lin Xiao now, and the teachings are incomplete, so he can't be promoted to a saint no matter what. But you can prepare first. In the second year of high school, the courses taught in the school are more professional than those in the first year of high school. All students should start preparing to establish a church with perfect teachings among their own believers in the realm of God, standardize their beliefs, and continue the original belief. No future. After all, in the second year of high school, I will go to the outer domain from time to time to take classes and try to invade some small planes. At that time, it will be difficult to convert the newly conquered natives if it is still primitive worship. It will take a long time and the efficiency is far inferior. Formal church mission. So far, many spoils of this final exam have been consumed. There is only a 40-meter giant tortoise shell left in the warehouse. I don't know how to use it for the time being. A golden spear with a length of 40 meters. Practice it, and use it as a weapon for yourself later. And there is 1 epic quality 5-star card and 3 rare quality 5-star cards. In addition, the damaged treasure was also thrown into the warehouse. This thing can't be repaired with his current ability. The 3rd order treasure can't be repaired not only by his father, even his own family's ancestors. And only a true god with the 2 priesthoods of judgment or destiny can repair it. Of course, Lin Xiao tried to throw it into the Rubik's Cube, which showed that it could be repaired, but he needed to decompose other treasures to repair it. He doesn't have any treasures now, but even if he has, he might not be willing to break it down to repair it. There are a lot of treasures that need to be decomposed to repair a 3rd order treasure. If it is a 1st order treasure, it will probably cost more than 10. Isn't it fragrant to keep so many 1st order treasures in the Goda-S domain? Even if it only adds a little strength, 10 superimposed is 10 points of strength. Just think about the strength of a murloc superimposed more than 10 points, that is equivalent to 10 times the strength of an adult man, how powerful that moment of explosion is. This stuff, for the time being, let's leave it alone. After all, given the rarity of the bequest, it's hard to say whether I'll encounter a second bequest before the college entrance examination. It's too far to think about it now. The next time is to recuperate within the god's domain, control the rate of murloc reproduction, and encourage Naga to vigorously reproduce. This species has lost too much in attacking the semi-sacred snake human, and now there are less than 400 young people, and there is no exam yet. The 2 months and 60 days after the vacation was equivalent to 60 years in the domain of God, and he had to work hard to increase their size to more than 2,000. In addition, he has to train them vigorously, whether it is Naga or Murloc, to upgrade their professional level. Unlike the racial level that requires combat experience to improve, the all-round warrior professional level only needs training. Not only does it require no experience, but also does not require belief points. Half a month later, Lin Xiao received a message from the teacher that the final exam was over, and asked him to go to the artifact platform to gather. Chapter 91 5-Star Building Card, Bloody Arena. The artifact platform was crowded and bustling, and many teachers watched the noisy voices on the platform without saying a word. When the teacher officially announced the end of the final exam, a total of 7 students died in this final exam, including Wan Ying. Many students couldn't suppress the shock in their hearts and communicated in a low voice. The voice was louder than the teacher's voice. Even the teacher announced that the top 10 in the final exam this time, ranking first is Lin Xiao, a dark horse. Not many people care, everyone is shocked by Wan Ying's fall. Every year in the final exam, students die because of greed or accidents, which is not surprising, but there are very few talented students like Wan Ying who also die. Fortunately, the teachers didn't tell the students the reason for her fall in detail. Naturally, they won't mention what Lin Xiao and Yan Renji did. They just reminded the students to do what they can and not to do things beyond their ability. The final exam ended in a commotion, and many students who were still in shock returned in 2s and 3s. Lin Xiao was a communication artifact platform to receive the reward for his first place in the final exam, which was also a golden mythical 5-star card. Speaking of which, this final exam is really a bumper harvest. There are only 2 cards of the golden mythical level. There are several treasures of this quality, plus a bunch of extremely rare good things. Just this time his harvest. It has already exceeded the sum of all previous gains several times. This mythical 5-star Katath selected a rare building card from the dozens of card libraries provided by the school Blood Arena. 5-star building card, Bloody Arena Mythical. A bloody arena can be summoned and placed in the Dominion. Effect. The Bloody Arena can provide 1 vs 1, 3 vs 3, 5 vs 5, 10 vs 10, 100 vs 105 types of gladiator fights. Gladiators defeat the enemy and gain a lot of combat experience and professional experience. There are no divine cards in the dozens of card libraries provided by the school, so you can only choose the one that suits you the most. With this, the family can enter the arena without enemies to fight in the arena to gain experience, so as to ensure the combat effectiveness of the family without fighting for a long time. After all, according to the time difference between the main world and Godha's domain, if there is no battle for 1 month and 30 years, many experienced old family members in Godha's domain will die. Newly born family members cannot improve their strength without fighting, and the strength of Godha's domain will decline over time. Using this arena, you can let the family fight with each other to maximize the fighting power of the family. However, this card cannot be integrated into God's domain for the time being. He has no card slots, so he will have to wait until next month. Laugh. The light blue mist spewed out of the God's domain login cabin. Lin Xiao opened his eyes and looked at the light blue mist in front of him, exhaled lightly, and did not immediately come out of the God's domain login cabin, but continued to lie inside and meditate. He is recalling his own experience in this final exam, from entering the plane to do the first task, to the bold idea of AAA demigod, all kinds of experiences during this period. In my mind, I will comprehensively review this experience, sum up the experience, and see what my shortcomings are, what I have done well enough, whether I can do better, and so on. In the eyes of some people, this may be an afterthought. The matter has already passed, so what's the use of summarizing it? It means that the next time someone encounters this kind of thing, he will not make the same mistake again. It still needs to be summed up. But for Lin Xiao, the experience summary is indeed useful, not only that he will not commit the crime again next time, but also to see whether his behavior is reasonable from the perspective of a bystander, and whether he can do it from a different perspective, better. The most important thing is that summed up the experience is not only not to make the same mistakes next time, but to draw inferences from others and expand the scope of imagination. There is a certain similarity, and they can make better responses through this. This is the correct way to sum up experience. After the end of the final exam, even if it was a holiday, many students left the school after coming out of the Divine Realm login cabin. Lin Xiao came out of the Divine Domain login cabin, packed up and went to the head teacher Wu Hai's office first, and left school a few hours later to go home. At this point, the next 2 months of vacation, and 2 months later he will be a high school student. When I got home, I took a good night's sleep. When I woke up at noon the next day, I realized that I had a lot of unread messages, including a beautiful mother's. I clicked on it and saw that the mother's projection like a 28 girl appeared in front of him. With a concerned face, he said, "Son, I heard that there was a big incident in your school's final exam. The little girl in the Wan family had an accident. What happened? This is a message from my mother, which cannot be shared." She sighed and said, "That little girl is very beautiful. Mother originally wanted to find an opportunity for you to play with friends, but I didn't expect it. By the way, do you know what happened to her?" I said, "You must pay attention to safety no matter how hard you fight. Son, you must pay attention. If you are not sure, you must not take risks. Mother doesn't ask you to stand out, as long as you are safe." Quote. Also, how about your grades in the final exam this time? The school said that the grades will be released in half a month. Tell your mother about your grades. There are several pieces of information below which are all rambles from his mother, and the concerns revealed in the words made Lin Xiao's mouth slightly involuntarily raised. It feels so good to have someone who cares. Rubbing his chicken coop-like hair, he replied, "Don't worry, Mom, your son is doing very well. He did well in the final exam this time, and he is likely to enter the elite class." I looked at it and sent it with a virtual point of my finger. The specific results are still waiting for the transcript to come out to surprise her. Less than 5 seconds after it was sent, my mother responded, "Really? It's really an elite class. Son, you are amazing. When you come back, Mom will cook something delicious for you. By the way, aren't you the end of the final exam? It's okay to go home early. It's just a few days after your grandfather's birthday. Your grades are so good. Grandpa will be very happy when he hears it." In Lin Xiao's mind, the scene of his mother pulling him to show off in front of the eldest aunt and the second aunt has already appeared. Woman, show off your husband when you are young, show off your son when you are middle-aged, and show off your grandson when you are old. No problem, I'll go home tomorrow. But there is no way. Who called him a son? Said it was tomorrow, but in fact he booked a car that night, packed up casually and got on the car home. This home is where the Lin Xiao family is located. It is located in a small mountain village more than 100 kilometers away from Dongning City. The entire small village is filled with the Lin family and their relatives or servants. Said to be a small village in the mountains, it is actually equivalent to a miniature town. It is also called Linjiabao. There are hospitals, primary schools, supermarkets, etc., and it also includes a large-scale station. The Lin family, a small family with 2 true gods located near Donglan City. The patriarch Lin Yud, also known as Lin Xiao's grandfather, established the Lin clan 2,000 years ago, and it has been passed down for more than 2,000 years. They have 5 sons and 3 daughters in total, but 2 sons and 1 daughter have fallen. Now there are only 3 sons and 2 daughters left, and the 2 daughters are married. The eldest son Lin Qirong, also known as Lin Xiao's eldest uncle, is a high demigod. Lin Changhong, the second uncle, is the second true god of the family. The third uncle has fallen, but there are descendants left. The fourth is Lin Xiao's grandfather, Lin Chengli, who is also a high-level demigod. The fifth uncle has also fallen, and there are also descendants. The 5 sons also spent separately on scattered leaves, and each had several children. In total, there were about 300 or 400 Lin family members. Grandpa Lin Chengli has 3 sons and 1 daughter. Big Lin Changdong, a high-level demigod, has a son and a daughter. Erberin Kunrui, an ordinary demigod, has 2 sons and 1 daughter. The third child is Lin Xiao's father, Lin Howlin, a high-level demigod who has only one son. As a true god family, the younger generation can not only obtain the blessing of the true god, but also have various resources. As long as the direct line of the previous generation does not fall in the middle, they can basically obtain enough resources to become a demigod. But it is limited to becoming an ordinary demigod. Whether it is possible to become a higher demigod depends on one's own ability. As for the true god, this is not something that resources can be piled up. It also depends on personal ability and opportunity, as well as the understanding of the rules. This is the most important. Therefore, even a son with powerful divine power, if he is not good in this respect, he will not be able to become a true god. Of course, if it is a descendant of powerful divine power, and if he cannot become the true god of the main world, he can choose to enter the outer realm and become an indigenous god without a realm of god. Many descendants of powerful gods' families have chosen this after they have no hope of advancing. The strength of this indigenous god is far inferior to the new god of the main world, but after all, it has immortality and is also a true god. Lin Jiabao is divided into 5 parts according to the 5 rooms. They are 4 corners and the center. The big room occupies the center, and the other 4 rooms each occupy a corner. The 4 rooms where Lin Xiao is located are located in the northwest corner of Lin Jiabao. The flying car stopped at the station and paid for it. He walked out of the station with a bag on his back and swiped his card on the roadside outside the station. A flying car like a sightseeing tour bus came over and stopped in front of him. He got in the car and entered the location. Fly directly to your home. There were quite a lot of people on the road. Most of them were servants or servants serving the Lin family, or the companions or subordinates of the Lin family. In the second year of high school, the school will encourage students to form a team to explore the plane, with the strongest student as the head, and several weaker students as the supplements to form a team that complements each other. This is also the prototype of the future god system. If you have the ability all the way to the conferred gods, you will build a god system with the team. The relationship between the gods is very close, in some cases even closer than brothers. Brothers will also turn their faces due to fighting for family property, and the interests of all members of the gods are combined, and no one dares to violate the oath of Styx, or the will of Gaia. This is also a question that Lin Xiao needs to consider during the holidays. When the next semester starts, should he form a team, or continue to go it alone? He's not very repulsive when it comes to building teams, but he's having trouble finding the right teammates. Chapter 92. Before, he had thought about whether to find Wan Ying. After all, she was a beautiful and cute girl. She was not weak and eye-catching. Apart from her small breasts, she had no other shortcomings. But I didn't expect that she would be GG after a few exchanges. Fate is too impermanent. Life. Lin Xiao lay on the speeding car and sighed. He had come to the 4th room area of Lin Jiabao. He got off the car and was about to walk into the alley. A man and a woman happened to come out of the alley. He was stunned when he saw his man, and then he waved and smiled. Xiao Lu is back. He nodded with a smile on his face and replied, "Yes, brother in the lobby." The man is the uncle's son, Lin Kun, and the woman doesn't recognize him, but judging from the closeness of the two, it is estimated that they are girlfriends. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. The names of the uncles in the previous generation were all 3 words, and the names of their generation are all 2 words, whether it is a few cousins or peers in other rooms. The relationship between Lin Xiao and this brother in the lobby is a bit complicated. I can't say it's bad. After all, they are cousins, but it's not much better. The reason is the trivial things in the big family that are not told to others. In the final analysis, it is for profit. Most of the brothers in ordinary families are fighting for family property, not to mention the big family. Both the great-grandfather and grandfather are still alive, so there is no way to compete for family property. Less have to fight. In particular, those rare resources that can have an effect on high-level demigods and even true god-level resources are the focus of competition among uncles and uncles from various factions. After all, no matter what room it is, there are high-level demigods who have the hope of conferring gods, and they all want to successfully ignite the fire of gods and hold the throne of gods high. Speaking of this, the second room where the second uncle is the most, and the 5 rooms in the second room should be divided into nearly half. just because the second uncle has been conferred a god, is the second true god of the family, and has the most strength and contribution, and naturally gets the most. But the other brothers felt that there were too few and were dissatisfied. In this way, the family is naturally not very harmonious. Fortunately, the ancestors are still alive, and the family is guarded by two true gods. The internal contradictions are still stable within a certain range. With the pressure of foreign enemies, it is still stable now. But even so, the relationship between the rooms in the Lin family fort was not good, and young people in different rooms rarely communicated. Lin Xiao has an average relationship with many cousins AA in the same room, neither good nor bad. Usually when they meet and call out, there is no other communication. Especially as everyone grows up and becomes gods, the demand for resources is getting bigger and bigger. The relationship became more and more indifferent. In the same castle, familiar strangers. Sometimes Lin Xiao felt that if a family became like this, it would be better to separate the family early, so that the relationship between the brothers would be better. It's possible, no one can say for sure about this kind of thing, and it's also possible that it's a real score. Anyway, Lin Xiao is not optimistic that this situation will continue to stalemate. As the young people of his generation grow up, this contradiction will gradually become sharper. There are only two possibilities for the development of the family in the future. The point of living, the final separation. Another possibility is that the second uncle is more powerful than the great-grandfather, which may make the old grandfather willing to let the second uncle lead the family. Speaking of it, living too long is a kind of trouble under certain circumstances. The great-grandfather established the family for 2,000 years and was in charge of the family for 2,000 years. The sons below also want to come forward, especially the second uncle who has been conferred a god for hundreds of years. After being a prince for hundreds of years, I can't help it anymore. After chatting for a few words with Brother Hall, we parted. If Brother Hall had to drag him to pretend before, this time I guess he was a little busy with his new girlfriend and didn't have time to chat with him. Entering from this alley, there are all relatives or family members of companions related to the four rooms, more or less recognizable, and they have to say hello when they see it. At the end of the alley that has been several hundred meters, there is a back street that is more than 10 meters wide. After passing through the back street, the ground turns from a concrete floor into a square covered with stone slabs. Behind a bush, there is a high and thick stone wall. There is a villa and two small buildings in the garden where he lives. This is Lin Xiao's home. Standing in front of the door to scan, the door opened silently. As soon as I stepped into the door, a fresh breath came to my face, and at the same time, there was the sound of flapping wings from the back of my head, and I looked back and saw a light green life radiance shrouded in its body. The owl flew over and landed on his shoulder, tilted his head and pecking at his collar, uttering a girlish voice. "Little master, you are back. Well, where's my mom?" He smiled and reached out to stroke the owl, and she squinted like a kitten and shrank her head in enjoyment. This is the mother's pet, a divine owl, a girl with a sweet voice, but because of the terrifying rules of the main world, all power cannot be revealed, and it looks like a beautiful owl. In the main world, only demigods can display some extraordinary power in a limited way, and those below demigods are so suppressed that they cannot show any extraordinary power. While enjoying his stroking, the owl tilted its head and rubbed against him, and said crisply, "Master has gone to prepare food for the little master, and will come back later." Lin Xiao suddenly felt warm. Walking in the garden with an owl on his shoulders, there are fresh flowers in buds everywhere, the light mist shrouded, the air is very fresh, and the outside world is like two different worlds. There are many strangely shaped statues in the corner of the garden, all of which are stone puppets, which are used by foreign mages to guard the mage tower or floating city, because they are inanimate puppets, and the suppression of the main world has little effect on the puppets. It can exert more than 70% of its combat power, and demigods like to use it to guard their homes. At this time, the stone statues and puppets are all in a state of sleep, and they look like statues. The mist and rain are sprinkled, and the flowers and plants are surrounded by their feet, which looks quite artistic. The mother has two priesthoods, rainy season and growth. The rainy season is the prerequisite for the 4 seasons and the climate priesthood. Growth is the prerequisite for the 2 powerful priesthoods of abundance and life. It can easily adjust the climate and make the climate of the gods more suitable for the growth of life. And then combined with the priesthood of growth, it is very powerful in farming in God's domain. The garden is full of beautiful flowers that are rarely seen outside. My mother usually has no other hobbies, but likes to grow some flowers and plants, some of which are unusual. This is the main world, and many things cannot be displayed. Lin Xiao heard from her mother that she had carefully cultivated a flower bush in her divine domain and raised many flower fairies. One of them was given a bit of divinity by her and became a divinity. Creatures possess many very magical abilities. After walking around the garden and admiring the beautiful flowers carefully planted by his mother, Lin Xiao felt much refreshed. Entering the villa from the back side door of the garden, just after entering the door, a clear light appeared in front of him and turned into the outline of his mother, and said to him in a warm voice, "Son, wait at home for a while, Mom will get you something good." After saying that the clear light disappeared, Lin Xiao touched his chin. If he guessed correctly, it is probably what his mother said a long time ago. If he gets good grades and can enter the elite class, he will give himself a surprise. He is still looking forward to it. Mom has been preparing for so long, it must be a good thing, but I don't know what it is. My mother was not at home, and my father was not at home all year round. Lin Xiao didn't know what to do. After taking a bath, he saw an owl coming over with a fruit basket full of fresh fruits. He picked up a bunch of grapes and ate it with his head held high. He turned on the internet, a light curtain the size of a wall unfolded, and he found an entertainment website to browse. Boring. After walking around for a while, a picture caught his attention. Well, to be precise, it was the title that caught his attention, the guide for the first freshman of the Canaanite seminary. First, he raised his eyebrows, clicked in with interest, and after carefully browsing the contents, a stunned expression appeared on his face. As he expected, this is a new powerful pantheon declaring its existence. According to the default rules, any god system that can stand firm on any main plane in a certain crystal wall system in an exotic domain and rule many surrounding auxiliary planes is qualified to communicate with Gaia's will and open up the main world and the main plane of the different crystal wall. The passage between them allows ordinary people in the main world to enter exotic colonies. Of course, colonization is a very broad term, and it is also a very time-consuming activity. Before colonization, powerful gods will establish a school in the main world and the main plane of domination to recruit students. Among them, the universities in the main world naturally recruit players with God's domain, which means that the third-year students of major middle schools will be able to apply for this university, which is equivalent to a new university, are equivalent to a huge god system, ruling a huge main plane community. And the main plane of the ruling exotic land recruits ordinary people who cannot become players of the realm of the gods, and teaches various power systems in the foreign realm, such as warriors, knights, mages, and other common power systems of other planes, just like in the novel. From the first level mage to the second level mage, to the 6th level senior mage, the 8th level legend, the 10th level demigod and so on. That's right, if ordinary people can't open up God's domain to become a God's domain player, it's not that there is no way to go, they can still take this road. But this road means a huge price to pay, and the road to growth is also very difficult. It takes countless battles at any time to grow up step by step. Although theoretically it grows all the way to a legend, a demigod, it can also ignite a divine fire and become a true god, but the difficulty is very, very high, far more difficult than God's domain players. After all, the players of God realm are divine creatures once they open up God realm, and if they accumulate enough divine nature, they are demigods. Although it is a bit difficult, it is much simpler than the path of conferring gods for ordinary people. Thanks to the Silver Alliance of Wushang Zonglin Children's Shoes and the updated instructions. Thanks to Wushang Zonglin's Silver Alliance, I'm a little ashamed, I'm still on the street after so long, I'm sorry for your expectations. This book must work hard. So, I decided not to explode. Yes, I said it right, and you read it right. I don't plan to update this book. It is stable at 6,000 words a day, 3,000 words per chapter, and 2 chapters a day. The reason is very simple, because of my lack of ability, I can't guarantee the quality in the case of explosion. I have been writing books for so long, and I have written many books. No matter how good the rhythm of each book is, once it explodes, it will die. There are no exceptions. No matter if it starts to explode on the shelves, or after a period of hundreds of thousands of words, once it explodes, it will slowly collapse over time. I wrote too fast, I didn't have time to think about it, and many details were exposed. Over time, the subscription will become less and less, and this is the case for all books, without exception. In the final analysis, my ability is still limited. I can't guarantee the quality when the update is released. After all, I am not a tentacle monster like the eagle. I can guarantee the quality while maintaining so much. I'm really envious of me. This book is the best book I've ever written, and I don't want to follow in the footsteps of previous books. Speaking of which, there is also a small improvement. After writing for so long, my grades have improved, and one book is better than one. So in order to be able to write longer, I can only stick to it and keep the minimum of 6,000. If I still have spirit after writing 6,000, I will write more in the second chapter. Classes, just like the chapters on the shelves now, have more than 3,000 words. I know that many people will be dissatisfied with this update and will support it, but there is no way. I want to write longer. Finally, I hope everyone will give you an automatic subscription. Thank you. How to save DB users. Cough cough. That is, the strategy for prostituting coins. In order to have a meal for myself, and in order to let the majority of pirated book lovers return to the original, I am now posting a guide for whoring. 1. Tail prostitution. In the red envelope on the last page of each chapter, you only need to watch the video for 15 seconds, you can get 10 points of starting coins, and the end is also 10 points. The upper limit is 10 chapters, and you can quickly get 20 points for one chapter, not counting the gift when you purchase the chapter. 10 times is 200 points, the second refresh continues, it is still 200 points. Of course, some may only be once, and that is 100 points, which is also money. 2. Sign prostitution. Sign in, not necessarily every day, but there will always be. If you sign up for a week, you can get 10 points, you have to get it manually. If you have time to watch a 15-second video, you can get another 50 points, also you have to get it manually. 3. Lottery. Every time you sign in, you can draw a lottery once, and you can draw again after doubled. If you sign in for more than 100 days, you will get 500 points. There will be. 4. Invite friends. Invite a friend. The friend will receive 200 points for the first login, and the friend will receive 800 points for signing in. 5. Year-end prostitution. The end of the year started recently, and that was the year-end ceremony. Every day I signed in for the lottery, I counted a lot of coins, and I watched 3 videos again. 6. Grab the red envelope. Generally, red envelopes can't be grabbed, but the one above the red envelope square can watch a 15-second video to receive a red envelope. Chapter 93. A child with a mother is a treasure. And as the price of gaining power, it would take many years to serve the forces that opened up the passage between the two realms. It can be said that it is quite difficult for ordinary people to grow all the way to the limit and ignite the fire of God. Of course, this refers to purely ordinary people. If there is a relationship, or if the big man values enough resources, the difficulty will drop significantly. For regular Divine Realm players, choosing a university in the college entrance examination is equivalent to choosing a camp. Once selected and admitted, it is equivalent to joining a huge god system, and it is quite a big backer, so you must choose carefully. However, this is now only considered by senior high school students who are approaching the college entrance examination. Like Lin Xiao, who is only a sophomore in high school, there is no need to worry so much, and we will talk about it next semester. Just as he was watching the live broadcast of Canaan Academy's establishment in the light curtain with great interest, he suddenly heard the faint and clear singing in his ears. He immediately turned his head and saw the light and mist in the hall converge towards the center to form a portal, a slim one. The figure came out of it, and the demigod no longer needed the god's domain login device, and could directly enter the god's domain. In less than 2 seconds, a pretty girl wearing a light blue dress surrounded by stars walked out. This is the incarnation of her mother. She saw Lin Xiao's face showing joy at a glance, and appeared in front of him and tiptoed to touch. Holding his head, he smiled and said, "Son, You're back, let mom see if you've lost weight recently. It's okay, not thin. He responded with a smile, letting his mother fondly touch his head and face. This feeling was very comfortable. All mothers in the world are the same, whether they are ordinary people, demigods, or even true gods, they all love their children from the bottom of their hearts. Lin Xiao is very fortunate to have such a good mother in this life, making him feel pampered. That's right, it's the kind of doting of the fabled mother with many spoiled children. To be honest, according to this kind of doting method, if it wasn't for him being a rebirth, it would be easy for someone else to become a second-generation ancestor. I used to grit my teeth when I saw this kind of spoiled supporting role in movies and novels, but when I personally enjoy this kind of love, let alone really cool. Son, come, mom has prepared a good thing for you. Lin Xiao grabbed an unknown red fruit on the table and stuffed it into his mouth. He looked up and saw his mother took out a card with a dazzling orange light. His first reaction was another legendary card. Jin Yunju was very happy to see his son's surprised expression, put the card in his hand and said, "Mom heard you say that you did well in the final exam this time. This is a reward for you." "Hey, thank you mom." He took the card unceremoniously and looked at it, quite surprised. This is indeed a legendary quality card, but it is not the 5-star card he expected, but a 3-star card, a legendary quality 3-star card. Whether it is 1 star or 5 stars, the quality is the same, from low to high. They are common, green rare, blue rare, purple epic, orange legend, golden myth, but generally low-level cards rarely appear high-quality cards. For example, a 1-star card is usually a small piece of trees, a dozen soldiers, more than 100 fish, etc. The quantity is small and the quality is generally not high. Anyway, Lin Xiao has never heard of a 1-star card with a quality that reaches the purple epic level. I've never even seen blue rare quality. 2-star and 3-star are basically the same, only the high quality 4-star or above or more, and the 5-star is the most. To be honest, this is the first time Lin Xiao has seen a card of Samsung Orange Legend quality. Samsung Resource Card. Flower Fairy Legend, summon 10 flower fairies. On the card is a small beauty with small transparent wings on her back, with a beautiful and lovely face, holding a small basket in one hand and flying through the flowers. The flower fairy, Lin Xiao, knows that it is a kind of elves, not that kind of elves, but a kind of elves. The most common ones are goblins who like to play tricks and tricks. Suck dew, nectar or small insects. Generally speaking, some goddesses who love beauty like to keep and watch. As far as Lin Xiao knows, Hua Shanzi seems to have no other role than taking care of flowers and plants to make them bloom more vividly. This is for Lin Xiao's current divine domain. Seems useless, right? He looked up suspiciously, and Jin Yunju said to his son, "Do you think they have no other role than taking care of flowers and plants and looking good?" He nodded honestly. The mother smiled and shook her head. "Normally, this is the case, but the one my mother gave you was specially cultivated by me. In addition to taking care of flowers and plants, I can also take care of other plants for you, whether it is economic fruit trees or farmland. They can take care of them, and the speed of the farmland will increase. A 10th increase, yields a 10th increase. How much area can these 10 take care of? Don't underestimate them. One can take care of 10 acres, and 10 can take care of 100 acres. How big is your god's domain now? It's enough. Lin Xiao, it is indeed enough, even the expanded divine realm is enough. 1 mu of land is equivalent to 30 meters long and 20 meters wide, and 100 mu is 300 meters by more than 200 meters. Well, he now has a much larger land area in God's domain than this, with thousands of acres. Even if the area of God's domain expands in the future, this flower fairy can also increase. Okay, thank you mom. Very simply put away. It's a pity that he can't use it now. Speaking of which, he has several things that he can't use now: the bloody arena, the flower fairy card, as well as 2 epic quality 5-star cards, 2 rare 5-star cards, and he still needs at least 4 slots. The mother and son chatted for a while, and the mother happily went to the kitchen to cook. A demigod who was able to call the wind and call the rain in the outer domain plane personally cooked for himself this feeling. A child with a mother is a treasure. For the next few days, he would live a life of rice bugs every day with meals. After meals, he would accompany his mother for a walk in Linjiabao, and occasionally accompany her to visit and play in nearby scenic spots. It was not until 5 days later that Jin Yunju returned home wearing a big sun hat and a big sunglasses with a face full of energy, and Lin Xiao followed behind with a lot of shopping bags that were almost covering him, exhausted. Sure enough, it is a woman's nature to love shopping, whether she is a normal woman or a demigod. Originally, my mother was still reluctant to come back, and it was rare to have her son shopping with her, but there was no way. My father came back from a foreign plane, and in 2 days, my grandfather would be 330 years old. When I entered the door and put a lot of shopping bags aside, I saw my mother sitting on the sofa holding a handsome middle-aged man with a look very similar to Lin Xiao. Whispering, Lin Xiao took it and flew over quietly. A cup of water held by a cloud-like magic hand, thanked him, sat down in front of his father, and shouted, "Dad." Lin Howland raised his head and looked at the young man with a look very similar to himself. "I heard that you did well in the final exam this time, and you are sure to enter the elite class." Lin Xiao nodded. "If there is no major accident, you can enter." "Very well. When your grandfather's birthday is over, follow me to Outland during the holidays." "Thank you, Dad." Obviously, Dad is going to give himself some good things, and going directly to Outland can bypass the rules. This is the difference between ordinary people and students with backing, and students of commoner origin do not have this benefit. Of course, don't expect how powerful it will be to exploit this vulnerability all at once. In theory, as long as they are willing to pay the price, the big family can use this loophole to directly remove the seedlings and make their descendants become demigods all at once, but in fact, if they do, demigods are the limit of life. Countless examples of the arrival of God's domain for hundreds of thousands of years show that the growth of new God's domain players must follow the rules of gradual progress, and the growth rate must be smooth progress. It is not only related to the stability of God's domain, but mainly because the strength grows too fast and the foundation is unstable, which is equivalent to skipping a section on the growth road. The consequence is that when condensing the priesthood and igniting the divine fire, the consciousness of the gods will come into contact with the will of Gaia and the rules of the world in the main world. At this step, they will accept the test from the will of Gaia and the rules of the world. If the foundation is not strong and there are loopholes, success the rate can be imagined. Condensing the priesthood may be forcibly condensed in other ways, but there is no way to ignite the divine fire. The foundation is not strong or there are loopholes, and it is 100% impossible to successfully ignite the divine fire. This can be described by the inner demon calamity of the Mahayana cultivator when he ascended from the calamity in Oriental fantasy. For example, Lin Xiao's current state has reached the limit of short-term growth, and he can no longer integrate other cards, but he can obtain some non-substantial material benefits in a limited way, such as experience, which is more rare than pure material. Next, my mother was going to cook, and Lin Xiao and his father were sitting opposite each other and chatting. Basically, the father asked about some of his situation in school, and some problems growing up, or some of his father's past experiences and lessons. Lin Xiao didn't tell them all about his current state. He wanted to wait until Grandpa's birthday banquet to give everyone a surprise. Cough. To be honest, I just wanted to shock a few cousins when they pretended to be in front of them. Who told them that they always pretended to be in front of them at every family gathering in the past? If Jinyi returns to his hometown and doesn't pretend to be dressed up, isn't Jinyi walking at night? It's so boring. Strips of colored lights and neon lights stretched along the street to the end of the street. The shops along the street are all hung with festive red strips today. Today is the 330th birthday of Lin Chengali, the 4th bedroom master of Linjiabao. Whole year birthday. In the streets and alleys, many adults and children are walking on the street, and most of the conversations in people's words are related to the birthday banquet. As the master of Sifang, all the properties of Sifang have 3 days off, and all the workers have received a large red envelope, which makes everyone very happy. When Lin Xiao got up from the warm quilt, he was alone at home, and his parents would go to his grandfather's house early to prepare the birthday banquet. Open the window, and the warm morning sun shines through the window, which is extraordinarily warm. Looking down from the window of the villa, you can see the flow of people coming and going outside the high wall. The manor where Grandpa lives. These are all relatives, or friends of this room, or the person in charge of a subordinate enterprise, and basically have a certain relationship with this room. Chapter 94 Women will affect the speed of my sword. Big Bulin Changdong and his third brother Lin Howlin stood in front of the gate of the manor to welcome guests. Whenever a speeding car fell and an acquaintance arrived, the two would greet them. In terms of identity, many visitors are not as good as them, but today they are all visitors. As the well-known True God family's first son Dasho in Dongning City, although it is not as beautiful as the ancestors' Dasho, it is also quite eye-catching. Many people from the family of the Lin family and the heads of various industries have arrived, and the scale is quite large. When Lin Xiao arrived, he heard melodious music from a distance. It was not the main world music, but full of exotic styles. The tone was rich and festive, which was very suitable for the current situation. Entering the manor from the back door, I saw a group of elves dancing on the curtain stage built on the lawn. They did not invite the band or orchestra of the main world. Some invited ladies and men around the stage were gathering in small circles. Small talk. Small circles like this are now everywhere in the manor. But the real important VIPs are not here, but in the manor. Lin Xiao was looking around curiously, when suddenly came the gentle voice of his mother Jin Yunju. "Son, come to the inner hall." He hurried over and saw his mother, who was more beautiful than ever in a burgundy dress. She beckoned him to go over, grabbed his hand and said, "The banquet is about to start, don't run around, just follow me later." As he spoke, he took out an exquisite gift box and stuffed it into his hand, saying, "I've prepared a gift for your grandfather. Have you thought of a congratulatory message? Go search it online." I'm ready." "That's good, go to the inner hall first. You haven't seen your cousin for a long time. Let's talk more." "Okay, you don't have to think about anything today, just listen to your mother." Entering the inner hall, at first sight, you see a large retro crystal chandelier in the dome of the empty inner hall. There are gorgeous murals along the edge of the chandelier, and the lines spread around the dome. Underfoot is the marble floor so clean that it can reflect the dome, and the lights and reflections complement each other, casting a brilliant light. Grandpa's manor is a pure main world style manor, and he did not take care of it as carefully as his mother. He also got some beautiful flowers and plants from exotic places. There is no extraordinary power in the manor. More than a dozen handsome and beautiful young men and women in gorgeous dresses were standing in twos and threes on the polished marble and chatting in a low voice. Lin Xiao's arrival attracted the attention of two men who were chatting recently. One of the handsome men with cyan hair saw he was slightly surprised, then turned back and said loudly, "Who did I say?" It turned out to be Xiao Lin Xiao, long time no see. Lin Xiao bowed slightly to the two of them and said, "Brother Zhen, Brother Le." There was nothing wrong with the etiquette, and the two looked at him for a few seconds before humming and nodding. These two people are not from the fourth room, but the two cousins AA of the big room. As for their relationship, it can be seen from the communication that they are definitely not good. Their voices caught the attention of others, and a tall and beautiful woman in a small circle of 3 men and 2 women on the other side of the hall suddenly reached out and greeted him. "Lin Xiao, come here." His eyes lit up and nodded to the two of them. "Sorry, excuse me." After speaking, he strode over, stood still in front of the 5 people, and said one by one, "Brother Kun, Miss Wei, Sister Lin Yu, Brother Zhu, Brother Yi." The 5 of them had different attitudes towards his call. The 2 beautiful women had a good attitude, while the other 3 were a little cold. They just snorted and agreed. Lin Xiao was not annoyed, just smiled, but he was a little despised in his heart. On weekdays, the relationship is poor, but when facing other rooms, you should unite and communicate with each other. Even if you don't want to do that, it's okay to pretend to be. The relationship between Lin Xiao and several cousins AA is really not very good. In the final analysis, the grandfather and grandmother doted on their little son too much, that is, Lin Xiao's father, who gave him more resources than the other 2 brothers, plus the father's own ambition. Now the strength has exceeded 2. Brother, envy and jealousy, the relationship is naturally not good. Lin Xiao couldn't say anything about it. After all, he was an instant beneficiary, and it was not good to say anything, and he would be cheap and good at being told by others. Fortunately, the relationship with the two cousins AA is not too rigid. After all, she is a woman. She will marry in the future and will not pay attention to these messy things. Besides, I don't know if he has a talent for soft rice. He found that he was very popular with girls since he was a child, especially when he was a child. He was very good looking, and his mother liked to buy him some girls' clothes and skirts to dress him up as women's clothes. It is to make women in the family like it. Maybe his cousin didn't like him for this reason. As soon as Lin Xiao came, the three cousins AA were all unhappy. He shrugged and didn't speak. The tall Lin Wei said, "Don't pay attention to them, the boss is not young and immature at all. By the way, how did you get your final exam results this time?" "Not bad. According to your previous grades, it's not bad to be eliminated in the final exam." Goling Kun in the lobby folded his arms and said, "I didn't get eliminated in the first year of high school, so I didn't lose the face of my Lin family." Brother said yes. At this time, the second uncle and second son Lin Zhu also said, "There is nothing wrong with our Lin family. Look at Brother Kun, who was ranked in the top 30 in the school and went straight to the elite class." Aha! Lin Xiao couldn't help nodding his head, looking serious. Look at Lin Yi again, it was the same at the beginning. Here, they are here again. Lin Xiao sighed in his heart, and sure enough, as always, he always had to put on a wave in front of himself and take the opportunity to reprimand him. At this time, he was wondering if his mother was like him, fighting openly and secretly with his two sisters-in-law. Using this word is somewhat imprecise, or intriguing. Pressing his fingers lightly on his forehead, his left ear goes in and his right ear goes out. Fortunately, there were two cousins AA at the side this time. They let the cousin Lin Wei block him before they spoke, and he was relieved. Next, they simply ignored the three of them and walked aside to chat, not only about him, but also about their school. The two cousins AA are both high school seniors. With the support of their families, they have already possessed more than 5 points of divinity. Like him, they are not in a hurry to consolidate the priesthood, but continue to accumulate. Unconsciously, the time gradually passed, and suddenly Lin Xiao heard a noise coming from his ear, and turned back to see a group of young men and women at the entrance of the hall walking and surrounded by red shadows. That is a very beautiful woman, with waterfall-like hair curled up, revealing a white jade neck that is slender enough to make men uneasy, and a red and bright fishtail skirt that wraps her tall and graceful body. Her eyes are as bright as stars, and her pupils are a touch of bright red, revealing a bit of coquettish and compelling color, but her temperament is the exact opposite of her coquettish appearance. The feeling of wanting to see but not being able to look directly. What a beautiful girl! It was Lin Wei who spoke. Even if she was a woman, she was attracted by the new woman's figure and beauty, patted Lin Xiao on the shoulder and asked, "Do you know who she is?" He shook his head. "I've never seen how to know who she is. She is from Grandma's family. Her name is Shen Yuexin, and she came here to celebrate her birthday on behalf of Grandma." "How is it? Is it beautiful?" Second cousin Lin Yu asked from the side. "Pretty," Lin Xiao answered honestly. The lady in the lobby covered her mouth and asked, "Then do you like it?" Lin Xiao shook his head and said, "Do not like." The two women said strangely, "Why? Why?" Lin Xiao can say that this woman is not so easy to subdue when she looks at her appearance, her temperament, and her posture, and how can he have the time to fall in love? It will seriously affect his relationship growth rate. 3 years in high school is very critical for him. At this time, Lin Xiao suddenly remembered a hard thing from his previous life, and laughed and joked. "Because women only affect the speed at which I draw my sword." Snapped. A strong slap on the back of the head made him lower his head. Looking back, he saw his mother's delicate little face bulging, a pair of Kazlin's big eyes glaring at him, and the two cousins AA covered their mouths and laughed secretly. "What did you say?" Mom crossed her hips and looked like I was very angry. Lin Xiao touched his head, and hurriedly stepped forward and hugged Erba's mother's hand and said, "Nothing, Mom, you heard it wrong. HMPH, next time you talk nonsense and beat up your mother even if you don't recognize it. You're not my mother." Lin Xiao was speechless. very wise and only dared to spit in his heart, but did not dare to utter a word, hugged her arm and shook and coaxed, causing the two cousins to cover their mouths and laugh from ear to ear. Half an hour later, Jin Yunju, who had been coaxed by his son to be happy again, took him to the back hall. At this time, the banquet was about to start. The father and the uncle and the second uncle were greeting the last distinguished guests on behalf of the grandfather. The guests were already seated, and Lin Xiao saw that the beautiful and graceful woman who had arrived before was sitting at the top table. Normal juniors are not qualified to sit there, even Lin Xiao can only sit on the third rank, but this time she is qualified to come on behalf of her grandmother's family. Lin Xiao found the table in the fourth room and sat down. Looking back, he saw the table on the second floor. The small and exquisite Erba was sitting at the table with the eldest aunt and the second aunt. It seemed that they were fighting again, but this time, the mother was very good. The look of confidence does not show weakness. Sure enough, beautiful women are also women, and even the most beautiful goddesses have the trouble of shitting. Speaking of Grandpa's birthday banquet, it is very ancient Chinese style, very pure birthday banquet, a group of guests eat together. Lin Xiao knows that many ancient families in Huasha district have such a habit. Even if young people like Western-style balls and banquets when they are young, they will involuntarily change when they get old. Of course, there will be a family banquet after the formal dinner, and there will be a party outside, but the family banquet is only attended by members of the family. The gifts that his mother prepared for him were also delivered at that time. At the same time, it was also when several of their juniors were in front of Grandpa. Time to show up. More than 10 minutes later, Lin Xiao, who was chatting with his cousin, suddenly felt a strong sense of presence, followed by warm applause, and Grandpa and Grandma walked in surrounded by their children. The moment his eyes fell on his grandfather, he felt a tingling pain in his eyes, and his spirit was also in a trance, which made him involuntarily lower his head and dare not look directly. So powerful, Lin Xiao's first reaction is that this is not an ordinary high-level demigod. Does Grandpa want to be conferred a god? He has seen many high-level demigods. Many class teachers in the school are all at this level, but none of them have brought him such a strong feeling. This feeling, Lin Xiao's eyes were exceptionally bright, and he yearned and looked forward to being so powerful one day. Chapter 95 The attention at the dinner party, but the protagonist is not me. There was nothing to talk about at the dinner party. After all, there were too many guests for the banquet, and it was mainly for the banquet. Lin Xiaoan sat quietly and ate quietly. After his grandfather retired, he quietly left and went to the manor for a family banquet. The so-called family banquet, naturally, only family members are eligible to participate, and only the most direct descendants can enter, such as the three uncles and their descendants, as well as the direct descendants who came to celebrate their birthdays in other rooms, but Lin Xiao entered the living room and unexpectedly discovered what he had seen before. The woman who surprised him was also there, whispering beside his grandmother. At the same time, he also found an extremely handsome young man sitting on the other side of his grandmother. The most striking thing was his pupils with a faint golden light. Lin Xiao recognized at a glance that the man's name was Lin Shu, the youngest of the second uncle Lin Chenghong. One of his sons, and his most beloved son. He is not much different in age from Lin Xiao, and he seems to be a freshman. However, he did not study in Dongning City, but went directly to the provincial capital No. 1 middle school to study, and now he does not know how strong he is. It is said that he is not a descendant of Bogong and his current wife, but a descendant of Bogong and an indigenous goddess. Sex is the real pride of heaven. No matter where he is, this kind of true genius is the focus of everyone's attention. Even on this occasion, he is qualified to sit at the table with the elders, which is enviable. Lin Xiao found that when many cousins were chatting in the hall, their eyes could not help but turn to that side, either on Lin Shu or on the woman. My slender lady, what a gentleman. Not only them, even Lin Shu, who has always been arrogant, could not help but cast his eyes on Shen Yuexin frequently at this time, as if he was a little moved. Of course Lin Xiao was no exception, standing quietly in a corner, looking at it from time to time. However, he didn't have any ideas, he just admired it. In his previous life, as an old driver, he always stared at beauties openly, rather than sneaking glances like other cousins. I don't know if his undisguised gaze was too fierce, but Shen Yuexin noticed that looking over, the wine-red pupil stared at him for a long time, trying to make the boy ashamed and flinch like before. Then I didn't expect that the man not only did not flinch, but also blinked his eyes. Tease me. No. She noticed that the boy's eyes were clear and only pure appreciation, not as salty and wet as some eyes. Her anger could not help dissipating, and she withdrew her eyes with a slight smile. Lin Xiao shrugged and retracted his gaze. He didn't look at it any further, and he looked like a hooligan. At this moment, he heard the uncontrollable quarrel coming from the table by the window 2 places apart. When he listened to it, the sound became quieter. He looked up and saw Zhe Lin Kun in the lobby standing at the table with a face angrily staring at the two. I don't know which room's cousin. I rarely see Lin Xiao and don't recognize him, and Lin Kun's girlfriend is next to him. This girl is not an ordinary girlfriend. She should have been recognized by the uncle's family, otherwise it would be impossible to bring it into the family banquet. Hearing them arguing in a low voice, Lin Xiao understood the reason for the quarrel. Lin Kun took his girlfriend to sit here first. I don't know if Shu Aishu arrived at someone or what. The two of them wanted to sit here for nothing, so there was a dispute. And beyond his expectations, many people around heard the quarrel here, including the two brothers Lin Zhu and Lin Yi of the second uncle's family at another table, but the two of them clearly heard it but pretended not to hear it facing the other side. If it weren't for the frequent peeking eyes, I really thought I didn't see it. The concierge sister Lin Wei and Lin Yu were chatting with other girls on the other side and did not find it here, and the young people in the other rooms all showed expressions of watching the show. Lin Xiao frowned. Just at this moment one of the men touched Lin Kun's chest insultingly with his fingers. He sighed, stood up and strode over. The sound of footsteps made the man turn his head subconsciously, and when he saw Lin Xiao walking in front of him, he stared straight at him without speaking, and looked at himself. He carefully swept Lin Xiao up and down with a look of thought. His eyes lit up as if he remembered it, and he said with a touch of disdain, "You want to stand up for your cousin?" Lin Xiao didn't answer him, just said, "No, just to remind you, are you sure you want to quarrel in front of so many elder guests?" "So what?" The man subconsciously glanced back at the small hall, and it happened that Grandpa and their eyes were attracted, and the power of the high-level demigods, no matter how small the voice, could be heard. The man suddenly became empty. Even if he just glanced at it without any expression, he really didn't dare to make a big problem. He glared at Lin Xiao fiercely and retreated with his companions. "Is that Hao Lin's boy?" Grandpa asked with a flash of approval in his eyes. The father sitting below immediately got up and replied, "It's my son, Lin Xiao." "Good." The uncle and second uncle on the side twitched his eyebrows slightly, but there was no strange color in his face and eyes. This is just a small episode. Not many people pay attention, even the mother is busy with the secret rivalry between the aunts. However, Shen Yuexin noticed it by accident and gave him a special look. Lin Kun looked at Lin Xiao with a complicated look. He didn't expect that the one who helped him in the end was this cousin who had never looked down on him before. The corners of his mouth moved a few times as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. It was his girlfriend talking to him. "Thank you." After returning to the original position, after about 10 minutes, I suddenly heard the uncle's voice. "Children, today is Grandpa's birthday. Do you have anything to say to Grandpa? This is the birthday celebration, and it is also an opportunity for the younger generation to show their faces in front of their grandfather. If they perform well, they will usually be given some rewards." The first one who did his part was the uncle's eldest son, Lin Kun. He brought his girlfriend with an exquisite gift box. After a nutritious congratulatory message, each received a red envelope from his grandfather. Then the two sons of the second uncle came forward to congratulate, and each received a red envelope. Finally, it was Lin Xiao's turn. He took the gift box prepared by his mother and bowed respectfully. "Grandson wishes grandfather the sun and the moon together, and the youth will never grow old." The congratulations were all searched on the internet. Nothing new, everyone was the same. Grandpa didn't want to hear this, it was mainly a form. Grandpa looked at Lin Xiao with a stern look on his face, nodded after listening, and suddenly asked, Grandpa remembers that you just graduated from high school. How were your grades? Top 3 in the grade. Yes, not bad. Grandpa nodded, took out a red envelope from his arms and handed it over, saying, "Work hard, the family will depend on you in the future." Thank you, Grandpa. Next, the young people from other rooms came to congratulate together. When all the young people finished their congratulations, Shen Yuexin, who was sitting beside her grandmother, also got up, and Lin Shu, who was beside her, also stood up when she saw this. Shen Yuexin glanced at him. He smiled slightly and said, "It happens that I want to celebrate my uncle's birthday on behalf of my mother and father, together." Shen Yuexin hesitated for a while, but did not refuse. Lin Shu was secretly delighted, and stepped forward to stand with her. The handsome man and the beautiful woman seemed to be a good match. Lin Shao clearly felt the envy of the cousins around him. Shen Yuexin gave her gift and said crisply, "Yuexin wishes my aunt and grandfather to be as perpetual as the moon, as the sun rises, as long as the Nanshan mountains, like the growth of pines and cypresses. Lin Shu wishes the tree of life for the fourth uncle to be evergreen, the water of life to flow, to be healthy and happy, and the spring to bloom forever." "It is good." Grandpa happily took the gifts from the two of them, handed out a red envelope to each, and said to Shen Yuexin, "Wait back and say hello to the old lady for me. Yuexin must bring it." When he looked at Lin Shu, he paused, his eyes swept across his juniors, a trace of disappointment flashed, and he said to him with a smile, "I heard that you were in the provincial capital No. 1 middle school." After just saying a few words, Grandpa suddenly stopped and looked up to the outside. Everyone was puzzled when they suddenly heard a deafening loud noise from the sky, followed by a huge noise outside the door. Lin Shao happened to be sitting by the window. "As I looked up, I saw a huge golden vortex appeared in the air outside the manor at some point, and a steady stream of golden light poured out from it. The golden streamer of Shaoqing flew out of it, and quickly condensed a lower body that was twisted into the vortex. The upper body was a huge human-shaped body, and the whole body was full of blue fog, which looked like the legendary lamp god. When Father Deng appeared, a powerful coercion descended from the sky. Lin Shao held the table with a look of astonishment. This turned out to be the real body of a demigod. After the demigod appeared, 2 dazzling golden lights burst out from his pupils and swept across the manor. At this time, everyone in the hall was shocked by this change. Grandpa came down to the door and looked at the demigod of the lamp in the air. In his sense, this was a demigod that was not inferior to the higher demigods. Everyone looked at the lamp god who fell from the sky in surprise and doubts, but only Lin Shu's face was normal. He glanced at Shen Yuexin, who was supporting his grandma not far away. The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, and there was an imperceptible smile on his face. At this time, the uncle came out of the crowd, and bowed his hands to the demigod who looked like a lamp in midair, saying, "This is the Lin family fort. I don't know who your excellency is." The lamp god did not answer his words, but his eyes swept across all the people who showed up, and answered nonsense. "Federal citizen Lin Shu, citizen number TXWD 544,157 ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** And he walked out in front of everyone's eyes as usual and asked, "Where did it come from?" Sender, official signature, Huasha District Super Freshman Summer Camp Committee. Deng Shen stretched out his hand, and a white light flew out and landed in Lin Shu's hand, revealing an A4 size card with a hard and unknown material that looked exquisite and gorgeous on the surface. Wow! The crowd suddenly roared, and many guests who had not left gathered together, looking at the incomparably delicate card in Lin Shu's hand in shock. One of the middle-aged men wearing glasses said excitedly, "I recognized it. It was an invitation letter for the Super Freshman Summer Camp. He actually got an invitation letter for the Super Freshman Summer Camp. Oh my god, isn't that the top-level freshman event jointly held by the 5 super universities and 133 key universities in Huasha District? There are only 1,000 places in each session. Once you can perform well in it, you will directly obtaining special tricks from major top universities as equivalent to directly falling into the Dragon Gate and flying into the sky. It's amazing. It seems that the first person in the Lin family's generation is him." The previous generation was the second master, this generation is him, and both father and son are heroes. It's really amazing. All kinds of whispered discussions sounded in the manor. Grandpa's face was not very good looking. Although these words were whispered, how could he not hear them? But when he looked at Lin Shu, who had an extraordinary temperament in Yushu Linfang, and then looked at his descendants, he sighed with some hatred for iron. Chapter 96. You have a new mail, please pay attention to checking. Please confirm the check. Lin Shu received it. Lin Shu smiled slightly, and the already handsome face with the halo added even more to the woman's fascination, and she bowed slightly. Thank you, messenger, please walk slowly. At the same time, a blue light surged like a tide in the sky, and quickly converged into a tall blue human-shaped phantom over the manor, but flashes like lightning. The lamp god messenger bowed to the human-shaped phantom for the first time before leaving. Lin Xiao looked at the blue human-shaped phantom with his eyes and murmured. True god, that is Bogong, a projection of the only true god in the family, not even an incarnation. As a true god, the true body and the incarnation guard the family plane all the year round. The main world walks by projection, and it can only be projection. The main reason is that the true god is too powerful. Not only can mortals not be able to look directly at the true god, but even the divine radiation naturally emitted by the true god cannot withstand it. Any non-divine or non-legendary powerhouse who stays around the true god for a long time will be involuntarily affected by the divine radiation, thus twisting the mind into a fanatical believer. The second uncle appeared, just nodded to Grandpa, congratulated him in a mild manner, and said to Shen Yuexin with a friendly face. The little girl of the Shen family, how is the old lady? Shen Yuexin bowed slightly and answered neither humble nor arrogant. Old man as well, that's good. Bogong projection nodded, and suddenly changed the conversation and said. I heard that you have also received an invitation letter for the Super Freshman Summer Camp. My son and you happen to be classmates. Seeing that the time is almost up, why don't you go there together, or have someone to take care of? Obviously, anyone with a little bit of eyesight can see that they want to match the two. The grandfather next to him had an ugly face, but he had nothing to say, even though he was his elder brother and a true god, and the girls were not his descendants. He can only sigh that his descendants are not up to par, but as long as he is up to par, he has the courage to fight with his elder brother for a chance for his descendants. This girl is from her wife's family. The Shen family in Fucheng, a powerful family of true gods with medium power, is a top-ranked family even in Fucheng. He suddenly sighed and thought about it. It was impossible. She was the direct descendant of the Shen family, and she was very good. Unlike his wife, who was just a sideline, there was no outstanding genius among his descendants, so there was no such possibility at all. On the other side, Lin Shu looked at Shen Yuexin expectantly, only to see her shaking her head and saying. Senior is joking, this is inappropriate. The second uncle smiled and said. Everyone is young, it's good to study together. Senior is joking, this is inappropriate. The same words, but the dissatisfaction and unwillingness revealed in the tone could be heard by anyone. Her uncle was stunned, his face slowly sinking. At the same time, the sky of the whole manor was getting darker and the temperature was slowly dropping. At this moment, there was a loud bang, and the gloomy sky suddenly lit up, and a golden mist suddenly lit up at the place where the demigod of the magic lamp had disappeared before, and it expanded rapidly and opened up a huge vortex again. Golden light spewed out from it. In the surprise of everyone, it was the lamp god who was covered in blue mist and walked out, holding a delicate card exactly the same as before. His pupils like a searchlight swept across the manor, and said in a deep voice. Federal Citizen Lin Xiao, Citizen Number TXWD 542,154,895,147, you have a mail delivered, please check it. The dazzling beam of light directly hit Lin Xiao in the crowd, and the white flakes fluttered in the mist, dazzling like a god. At this moment, everyone's eyes were cast on him. Most people didn't know who Lin Xiao was. Only acquaintances knew the name. They were full of surprises. It was far more surprising than Lin Shu's invitation to the Super Freshman Summer Camp before. Shock. Stinky boy. Jin Yunju covered her mouth and looked at her precious son, with sparkling tears in her eyes. Lin Howlin also had a smile on his unsmiling face all the year round. Looking back, he saw the disbelief on the faces of the two older brothers, as well as the father with a gratifying smile. Lin Xiao is here. He stepped forward and bowed slightly to the divine envoy, but with his hands out, a golden light fell from the sky into his hands, turning into a card of unknown material and incomparably delicate, with the words on the surface, Super Freshman Summer Camp Invitation Letter. It's true, the old principal really gave this place to himself. He put the card away and bowed to the demigod messenger. Send the messenger. As soon as the demigod messenger left, Jin Yunju trotted over holding the corners of her dress, raised her hand and slapped him on the forehead. The stinky boy is also hiding this kind of thing from mom. As he spoke, he snatched the card from his hand. Lin Xiao shrugged. Mom didn't blame him for hiding it, but blamed him for not telling her earlier that she wouldn't be able to show off in front of her sister-in-law and other aunts. When I looked back, I saw my grandfather beckoned. Child, come here. He walked over, stopped when passing by Lin Shu, bowed slightly and shouted. Lin Shu, Uncle Tang, I'm Lin Xiao. This makes him want to vomit. It seems that his peers are really the youngest, and it is rare to encounter a generation higher than his own age, and he has to be called uncle. Of course, I believe that Lin Shu himself wants to vomit even more, calling anyone older than him his uncle, which is very frustrating. For the first time, Lin Shu seriously looked at a peer of the same clan. In the past, he never looked down on his peers of the same clan, nor did he despise these second-generation ancestors who were still immersed in the brilliance of their ancestors. If he hadn't seen it today, he would still be I don't know that there is a second outstanding peer in the family. No, in a sense, he was better than himself, because the young man in front of him was definitely not as good as him. He rarely let go of his arrogance and said in a very formal tone. I can't believe that the younger generation of the Lin family are not all scumbags. My name is Lin Shu. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'll have a chance to chat in the future. Okay. Nodding his head, Lin Shu gave Shen Yuexin a slight salute and said. It's a pity that I can't go with you. Then I'll see you at the summer camp. Shen Yuexin just pursed her lips in return, and didn't speak. She was probably a little annoyed. As soon as Lin Shu left, Bogong's projection naturally stopped, and he took a deep look at Lin Xiao before disappearing into the sky. At this time, Lin Xiao came to Grandpa. Grandpa beckoned him to come to him, reached out and touched his hair, with an even more smile on his face, and nodded again and again. Good, very good. He looked up and looked around and waved his hand. Everyone is gone. Then he lowered his head and held his hand with a face and said. Child, come with me. Lin Xiao suddenly felt countless envious and jealous eyes shot, but Grandpa couldn't pull him, so he could only follow Grandpa back to the house. In the room, there were only Lin Xiao, his grandparents, and his father. Not even the two uncles followed. Grandpa sat at the top, took a sip of the tea handed by his father, and asked in a harmonious voice. Kid, tell Grandpa how you got this place in the Super Freshman Summer Camp. Lin Xiao didn't hide it. He explained how he could get this place. Of course, it only included what he could say. For example, the creation of the Rubik's Cube definitely couldn't be said. But even so, it was shocking, especially when he said that he had created a new race recognized by the laws of the underworld. He could see the light in Grandpa's eyes flickering. After some selective words, the smile on Grandpa's face could not be suppressed, and he laughed. I can't think of a unicorn falling from the sky. My grandson has the appearance of a true god. Very good. He excitedly took a few times in his arms, took out a card with golden light and handed it to Lin Xiao. Take it, this is your grandfather's gift. Thank you, Grandpa. Lin Xiao was not polite, and took a look at it. It was a divine domain card that cherished its unparalleled quality, fertile black soil, with an area of 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers. It is not much different from the area of the god realm that he had previously devoured the semi-sacred snake man, but it is more valuable, because the god realm added by the sanctuary is barren land, and this god realm card increases the fertile black land. The divine domain card, like the divinity card, is a high-quality card that the more the better, the more is not too little. He immediately put it away. Then Grandpa and Grandma took him to chat for a long time, mostly asking about his life in school, and occasionally talking about Grandpa's past experiences. The father was waiting, and from time to time he would rebrew the cold tea for the grandparents to serve. Lin Xiao wanted to pour tea for his father, but was pulled by his grandfather. After chatting for a while, Grandpa suddenly changed the subject and asked Grandma. "You said, is it possible that Yi Xiao's situation is worthy of Yuexin?" Grandma shook her head directly. "Girl Shin is even more motivated than you think. Even your second brother's kid doesn't like you, will he like your grandson?" Grandpa was not convinced, and glared at him and shouted. "That's hard to say. My grandson is so excellent. He created his own intermediate race at a young age. He has the appearance of a true god, so why is he not worthy of her? It's impossible anyway. Then tell me which one is worthy of her." Grandpa is also on the bar, and asks relentlessly. Grandma didn't seem to want to talk about this issue, but she couldn't be asked by her wife, so she had to say. "Do you know what girl Shin's background is? Isn't it the daughter of a sister you used to play well? Then do you know who her father is? Who is it? Not to be said. Do not know. Wait, can't you tell?" Grandpa's expression suddenly became solemn. Looking at Grandma with exploratory eyes, Grandma nodded. Lin Xiao actually heard grandfather and father gasping for air at the same time, and then silence. He could not help asking, "Grandpa, are you all right?" After a long silence, Grandpa clapped his hand and said, "It's okay, grandson, don't think about this little girl. In the future, Grandpa will find you a beautiful one with big breasts." Lin Xiao was suddenly caught off guard, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Grandpa, you think too much. Besides, I didn't say that I like Miss Shen." A strong hand patted his shoulder, and the grandfather gave him an expression that I understand, which made him look confused. Is Grandpa so social now? But it was very real, and he was very kind to himself. When he finally left with his father, his grandfather repeatedly told him that he must look for a beautiful granddaughter-in-law. Chapter 97: The Inside Story of the Super Freshman Summer Camp, Seeking a Monthly Ticket. Home, hall. Before Mom came back, Lin Xiao and Dad sat opposite each other, drinking tea silently with a coffee table in between. After a while, my father took a sip of tea, put down the teacup and looked up and said, "Since you have won the place in the Super Freshman Summer Camp, you don't have to go to Outland with me. So, how much do you know about this Super Freshman Summer Camp?" It seems to be the top freshman activity jointly organized by the 5 super universities in Huasha District and 133 key universities. Then do you know what's the point of participating in this summer camp? Lin Xiao scratched his head and thought for a while before replying. It's equivalent to earning money. I heard that there will be a certain bonus in the college entrance examination in the future. If you perform well, you may directly qualify for special recruitment. It's just the surface that outsiders see. Father brewed a new pot of tea and said as he brewed. Actually, this is still a selection of elite reserve personnel in the Huasha military region. Each super freshman summer camp is not only an activity for each university to select talents, but also an activity for the Huasha military department to pre-select reserve elites. Invitation by the Ministry of Elite Reserves. The so-called elite reserve force can also be understood as the meaning of reserve cadres. Only elites are selected, and students who agree will get a hidden identity of elite reserve force. They can accept tasks from the military department in high school and even university, and they can also be directly admitted to the army. In addition to this, there are many unique benefits to the university directly under the ministry, you will know in the future. I don't know if it was an illusion. He felt that his father's words were full of yearning for this elite reserve, and he couldn't help asking. "Father, do you mean to let me get this elite reserve?" "That's right." Lin Howland nodded, but immediately changed the subject. "But don't put too much pressure on it. Father expects you to get it, but this kind of thing cannot be forced, you can do your best." "I will work hard." This Lin Xiao can't make a promise, but listening to his father's yearning so much, if there is a chance, he will definitely give it a try. The two father and son chatted until noon, and before the mother came back, the two father and son looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes, and finally he said, "Then I'll cook 2 bowls of noodles." Father thought for a while and shook his head. "Let's order dinner." Lin Xiao was speechless, but in the end, the fast food was not called because my mother came back. Today's mother seems to be in a particularly good mood, humming a little tune that can be heard from far away, seeing her husband and son sitting on the sofa and looking at her husband and son with a proud expression. Did you not see the envious and jealous expressions of the two of them? Tisk tisk tisk, it's so cool. The father coughed lightly and did not answer. Jin Yunju didn't realize anything at all. A fragrant wind came from behind the sofa and hugged Lin Xiao's neck, and said, "It's still my son who is amazing, and I compared them all at once, don't you?" Cough, Mom, I haven't eaten yet. Yes. With a surprised look on her face, my mother immediately put on a smile and said, "Mom will make it for you immediately. What do you want to eat?" "Whatever. Then make you your favorite fried noodles. It is good." Cough. Father coughed lightly. "Add some sauerkraut." "What kind of sauerkraut you want to fish for yourself?" Lin Howlin. Lin Xiao. In the next few days, Lin Xiao enjoyed his mother's more meticulous care than ever before. He ate and slept every day, and slept and ate like raising pigs. In less than 2 days, he felt like he had gained weight. The invitation letter for the Super Freshman Summer Camp is already in his hands, and my mother took it out to show off every day a few days ago, but I don't need it recently, because under her vigorous publicity, the whole Linjiabao knows it, and she also learned from her mouth. The news that he got the invitation letter for the Super Freshman Summer Camp has now spread, and now he has been known as Lin's Double Eagle by the good people in Lin Shu. This makes my mother very happy. Recently, I have been extraordinarily energetic and go out every day to show off to others. I don't know what material this invitation letter for the Super Freshman Summer Camp is made of. It looks like metal at first glance, but looks like a cardboard card when viewed closely. It is very hard. Expand the invitation letter. There is a clear logo on the header, which is a badge representing the Super Freshman Summer Camp. The upper left corner is his personal name, ID code, and the time when the invitation letter was sent. Further down is a very standard official rhetoric. When you see this invitation letter, congratulations, it means that you have passed our strict and fair assessment and comprehensive ability assessment, and have proved your natural excellence with your own strength. Hereby, I would like to represent the Super Freshman Summer Camp. The official of the committee hereby invites you to participate in this Super Freshman Summer Camp. I hope that a talent who has contributed to the Chinese civilization is on the road to take off from here. After this very long congratulatory message, is the specific start time of the Super Freshman Summer Camp, as well as the introduction of the location and trainers. Lin Xiao carefully wrote these down and put away the invitation letter. According to the above, the summer camp for super freshmen will start half a month after the final exam of the senior year. At this time, it is already the 8th day after the final exam, and there are still 7 days left, which is completely in time. Because the previous super freshman summer camps are not held in the main world, but in the subspace between the main world and the exotic virtual sea, he needs to go to the provincial capital first, and then enter the subspace through a super exotic gate located in the provincial capital. Teleports directly to a war fortress in the warp where the summer camp is located. As we all know, there is a subspace between the main world and the foreign realm, and the realm of all players in the realm of God is floating in the boundless subspace. Passing through the subspace is the vast and boundless chaotic virtual sea, in which countless crystal wall systems of different sizes float in the chaotic virtual sea, of course, including many enemies of human civilization. In other words, the warp is not only a barrier that divides the main world and the chaotic sea, but also a barrier to protect the main world. Human civilization has established many war fortresses floating in the warp in this shield, with the fortress as the fulcrum, constantly attacking one crystal wall system, grabbing infinite resources and rules from the exotic crystal wall to expand the main world. Especially the rules. God's domain players condense their priesthood to become a demigod, ignite a divine fire to become a true god, and then seize the godhead of an alien god from the alien crystal wall, which is equivalent to plundering the rules and origins of the alien plane or crystal wall to strengthen the rules and origins of the main world. You must know that the rules of the main world were not so strict at the beginning. At that time, any divine creature could display extraordinary power in the main world, but it was only with the plundering of the rules and the origin of the world from the different crystal walls by generations of players from the god realm. Constantly strengthen the rules and origins of the main world. Up to now, the rules of the main world have been so strict that there is no difference between divine creatures and mortals. Even ordinary demigods can't make waves in the main world, only high demigods can show some miraculousness. With such terrifying rules, if foreign gods dare to invade the main world, the sudden terrifying suppression can suppress most of the invaders into foolishness. Relying on this moat, and generations of pioneers marching on and plundering resources, human civilization can grow from a small ordinary civilization confined to the planet to today's hundreds of thousands of crystal walls. A super fantasy civilization with planes. There was plenty of time before the summer camp started, but Lin Xiao didn't stay at home for long. He was ready to leave on the third day after his grandfather's birthday banquet. Walk alone. It seems that Miss Shen Yuexin left on the night of the birthday banquet. I heard that she was a little unhappy. I wonder if the second uncle's behavior of making mandarin ducks made her unhappy. Lin Shu also left the next day and went directly back to the provincial No. 1 middle school. When Lin Xiao left, his grandfather gave him a card with 10 million faith points in it, saying that it was used as pocket money for him. He didn't refuse, just because he was short of money recently. In reality, the currency is the federal divine yuan and credit points, and the exchange rate is 1 to 100. According to the transformation gap between belief value and divine power, 1 million belief value is equivalent to 1 bit of divine power. This is equivalent to 10 points of divine power, and the purchasing power is limited, but the basic expenses to maintain in the summer camp should be enough. To take the family's own passenger aircraft to leave Linjiabao, he needs to cross a distance of more than 100,000 kilometers to reach the provincial capital. On the way, he contacted the head teacher and reported to him that he was going to leave for the provincial capital. When he was about to close the communication, he suddenly asked, "I wonder how Wan Ying's funeral will be handled. Can her family accept it?" Wu Hai sighed and replied, "According to the regulations, the school has a death indicator, and she was informed of the uncertainty and danger before entering the outer domain. She agreed to represent her willingness to take the uncertainty risk, and the school gave her all the processes in her final exams using retrospective magic to save it to her. The family checked it and determined that it was indeed an unforeseen accident." Lin Xiao paused and asked in a low voice, That. He hesitated for several times before saying what he wanted to say, but the head teacher Wu Hai knew what he wanted to say and said, "You don't have to worry, this has nothing to do with you. They can't trouble you because of this, and the school won't allow it. If you anger others because your child has an accident, it will break the rules." Speaking of the back, the head teacher's tone became severe, and it seemed that Wan Ying's family was not in vain at all. Hearing this, Lin Xiao felt much at ease. Fortunately, it's at school. If it's outside, there's no way people want to take out their anger. But in the school, everything follows the rules of the school. No matter who you are, you have to abide by the rules of the school. No one dares to break the rules. It's not just a school rule, it's a civilized rule. In human civilization, only schools have the authority to let people open up the realm of the gods. Even top sects with powerful divine power do not have this ability, and naturally they dare not provoke schools that represent the rules of civilization. Note that this school representing the rules of civilization refers to a middle school that has people who open up the realm of the gods, not a university. Chapter 98 Riding my beloved little motorcycle. Although middle school is only the lowest level, and its strength is far less than that of universities established by major gods, it is the foundation of civilization. No matter how powerful the gods are, and even the legendary great powers, they must be admitted to middle school at the beginning. Slowly grow to the peak. This is also the reason why the descendants of the most powerful true gods have to go to school. Otherwise, wouldn't it be fragrant to let the true gods' parents grow up with them in person? After getting the solid news from the teacher, Lin Xiao heaved a sigh of relief, and only then did he feel in the mood to appreciate the beautiful scenery below. The aircraft passed over a mountain range that was completely covered by green, and it was a lush virgin jungle full of life. Although it is already a super fantasy and super sci-fi era, the legendary spaceship has already become a reality hundreds of thousands of years ago, and the total population of the main world is in the trillions, but the main world is also large. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the original Earth was indeed a planet, but with the emergence of godhood domain, human civilization began to rise, especially the steady stream of resources and world origin plundered from the outer space to fill the main world, and the whole world began to undergo earth-shaking changes. The initial change is that the Earth continues to grow with the continuous filling of the world's origin, and the planet is getting bigger and bigger. Later, with the birth of the first great divine power of mankind, it shattered the Earth with great power and reshaped the world with the means of supreme creation. Changed the world from a planet to a round sky, which is the common plane appearance in exotic worlds. Since then, a steady stream of world origins have been plundered to fill the main world, and the entire main world has expanded around. Today's main world is unimaginably huge. Anyway, Lin Xiao doesn't know how big the main world is now. Even his father and grandfather don't know. Anyway, the edge of the world is slowly growing every day, and the world is getting bigger every day, so it is impossible to count. In such a huge world, the population of trillions of civilizations spread out seems vast and sparsely populated. It took him only 3 days to see a huge vortex suspended in the sky at the far end of the sky. It is a huge elliptical light gate standing straight between the sky and the Earth. The diameter alone is probably several kilometers. The edge is the chaotic energy that is constantly rotating and shrinking inwards. From time to time, you can see the thick blood-colored lightning in the vortex. The edge exploded, exuding an invisible twisting wave. This is the gate of cross-border. Below is a huge base plus a distribution center. Almost every moment, a ball of light flies out of the vortex, and every moment, a ball of light is thrown into the vortex. There are no guards around the gate of the cross-border, but it would be a big mistake to think that no one is guarding. There is at least a medium-sized god and no less than 10 true gods hidden in the place where no one can see, let alone in the cross-border. More true gods are stationed in the war fort on the other side of the gate. The passenger aircraft stopped under the huge cross-border gate, and Lin Xiao walked out of it, standing by the roadside alone and looking up at the sky. The cross-border gate is the size of a city, and the huge shadow covers the sky and the sun as if it will suppress the base below, but when you actually stand below it, you realize that the cross-border gate is several hundred meters high from the ground. Lin Xiao gave a number according to the contact information recorded in the invitation letter, and sent his coordinates to the other party. In less than 10 minutes, a pink streamlined speeder quietly drove to him and stopped. The door was raised, and he walked out of it. A tall girl in a blue uniform. The girl tapped the pink wrist wheel on Ning Shuihao's wrist, and a light curtain popped open. After a little comparison, the light curtain was closed, and she said to Lin Xiao with a smile on her face. "Is it classmate Lin Xiao? I'm Kui Qingqing from No. 1 middle school in the provincial government. I'll take you to No. 1 middle school. I'm Lin Xiao. Can you show me your student ID card?" "Can." The girl took out a card and handed it over. He just glanced at it and nodded. "Let's go." It is indeed the provincial government. According to what is written on the invitation letter, all invitees from Yunmengxing province will gather in the provincial capital No. 1. When the time is up, they will enter the cross-border gate collectively through the dedicated channel to go to the war fortress. Individuals cannot pass the cross-border gate. In other words, Provincial No. 1 Middle School is the co-organizer of this year's Yunmengxing Provincial Super Freshman Summer Camp. 90% of the previous sessions have been co-organized by Provincial No. 1 Middle School. Provincial No. 1 Middle School is naturally the best high school in Yunmeng. Here is a collection of the most elite students from Yunmeng province. For example, Yan Renji Weiniang is one of the best students in Dongning No. 5 Middle School, and they are not even in the top 100 in the provincial government No. 1 Middle School. They are just ordinary members. The kind that was eliminated at the bottom of the third-class ranking. Sitting on Kui Qingqing's flying car, the flying car quietly rose into the air and flew to the other side. On the way, she set the speeding car to drive automatically. Her smooth arms supported her head and looked at Lin Xiao with curiosity. Lin Xiao subconsciously looked down at himself, spread his hands and said strangely, "Is there something on me?" She smiled and shook her head. "No, I'm just curious about what kind of students outside the province can get invitations to the Super Freshman Summer Camp." "Then you see nothing." "I see, it's a little cute." Lin Xiao blinked and turned his head silently. "My goddamn charm, He can't take that. By the way, you are from Dongning City, do you know Wu Zonglin? Wu Zonglin. I've heard the name but haven't seen it, what's the matter? This name is very familiar. It comes from one middle school in Dongning City. It is known as the first genius in the city. Innate divinity is comparable to Lin Shu. It is not clear how strong it is in a year, but it is definitely strong. Even now Lin Xiao might still have a little gap with him. Kui Qingqing said, "It's nothing, it's fine if you haven't heard of it. By the way, how did you get the invitation letter? As far as I know, there is only one place in Dongning this year." In Wu Zonglin's hands, "How can you get one? I am from the 5 middle school of Dongning City, and our old principal gave me a place." "Oh, then do you have a girlfriend? You are so good, you should be very popular with girls, right?" "Have. Then she's dead." "Ah, I'm sorry. It's okay, I'm in a bad mood and want to be quiet." "Okay then." Then it was quiet. Lin Xiao reclined and looked out the window and stopped talking. Seeing him quietly looking out the window at the contours of the delicate faces, for some reason she felt inexplicably attractive, and she couldn't help but want to take a look. It didn't take long for the speeding car to leave the area where the cross-border gate was located, and it started to slow down in front of a huge building complex located in the mountains hundreds of kilometers away. In the center of the paved square is a huge and quaint stone gate with many reliefs of exotic animals. 2 giant warrior statues hundreds of meters high stand on both sides of the stone gate, like 2 guards guarding the gate. The square was extremely empty, and only a few figures of Liao Liao walked on it alone. At this time, it was the holiday, even if there were not many people in the provincial capital. 1 middle school. The speeding car did not enter directly through the gate, but flew directly to the gate and landed at the foot. "Arrive. Are you here?" He lifted the small bag and pushed the door. Kui Qingqing sighed softly behind him, and when he looked back, he saw him saying shyly, "Can you add your contact information?" Lin Xiao was silent for 3 seconds, then nodded. "Okay." After adding friends, he waved goodbye. Looking at the names in the address book, he was speechless. Why bah, I don't really have the talent to eat soft rice, do I?" After a while, I suddenly heard an impatient voice in my ear. "Dude, you can either come over to register for the report, or find a girl. There's still time, and it's not too late for you to report tomorrow." He turned his head sharply and saw a man in a security uniform standing with his hands on his hips standing next to the gate. The security booth. Yes, it is a very ordinary security booth, but it is all made of marble. At that time, the big man was looking at him with envy and helplessness leaning against the door. He quickly shook his head and said, "It's okay, I'll register now. First register the name and simple information, then take out the invitation letter to scan and confirm. This is the key." After that, the security guard gave him a delicate silver metal card and said, "This is a temporary school card for 1 middle school. It is unique to students participating in the Super Freshman Summer Camp. It is valid for 10 days. During these 10 days, they can enjoy the same treatment as students of 1 middle school, including the use of any school facilities, such as the library, the public domain login cabin, and so on. By the way, the card contains 1 million federal credit points for your consumption within these 10 days, and the excess will be paid by yourself." While talking about the security guard going to the security guard booth, he drove a single-person aircraft like an electric motorcycle and parked in front of him and said, "This is a means of transportation on campus, 2 credits for 1 hour. Then, a big boy straddling a small red motorcycle slowly drove into the empty campus under the strange eyes of the security guard. "It's too simple, it's not what I imagined." Looking back at the security pavilion, which was already far away, Lin Xiao stopped the small motorcycle that felt too small, tapped the wrist wheel with his finger, and the light curtain popped open, clicked with his finger, downloaded the map of 1 middle school, and checked his destination. Anyway, the Super Freshman Summer Camp, the highest level of activities for freshmen in Huasha District, just register at the security guard. Lin Xiao feels like a child's play. But the truth is, it's really that simple. He shook his head, looked down at the live map he just downloaded, closed the light curtain a few times on it, and restarted the little motorcycle that couldn't get up quickly. There were also a pink pig sticker and a cute little ornament. Shouldn't this be a special seat for some female classmate? Riding a pink motorcycle at a speed of more than 10 miles around the large, complex and quiet campus for several times, I came to a canyon between two mountain peaks. According to the real map, I passed through the canyon and entered the other end. The building complex in the valley is the temporary assembly point for the super freshman summer camp. It has to be said that it is indeed the No. 1 middle school of the provincial government. The campus is really big. There are mountains, canyons, rivers and lakes in it. It is more than 10 times larger than the Dongning No. 5 middle school where he studied. He twisted the handle of the pink motorcycle and was about to set off. Suddenly, a whistling sound came from behind his head, and then a black shadow swept past his head. He raised his head and watched a gorgeous magic flying carpet fly past like this. The magic flying carpet stopped with a sudden whisper, turned a big bend and flew to the top of his head and slowly descended, revealing a familiar beautiful face and star-like bright eyes.